And tonight, welcome in the Texas Rangers. The Birds took 2 of 3 for the Rangers in Arlington earlier this month. And now they're looking to end this homestand on a high note. So buckle up. It's a 4-game series against the Rangers. Game 1 starts right now on MASN. It's the Orioles on MASN tonight from Oriole Park at Camden Yards. The Birds welcome in the Texas Rangers. It is Game 1 in a 4-game series. And hi, everyone. I'm Jim Hunter. Jim Palmer in a moment. And the Orioles today got the word, and it was the word they were not expecting, as Major League Baseball has upheld Manny Machado's 5-game suspension. He appealed it last week, and now Manny begins serving that suspension tonight. He's played 54 games this year. His batting average up to .239. He actually is swinging the best he has all year, which makes this inopportune. 7 home runs, 17 RBIs. He can return on Saturday for the middle game of 3 on the next road trip in Boston. And Jim Palmer, the Orioles very disappointed. They were hoping at least 1 game might get shaved off, maybe 2, but Major League Baseball upheld the full 5.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole other story, and Buck Showalter's not going to go there because I think he's maybe got a little bit of a fine already. So, they'll miss him, but Buck said it best in his press conference. Hey, I mean, you sometimes have to take responsibility for your actions. Hopefully it was a learning thing. I never quite understood what was really going on and because he was very unmanny-like, but they will miss him.
And for tonight, it'll be Chris Davis playing third base. So Steve Pearce goes to first. How about this? Chris goes over the other side.
Well, Pearce is not going to hurt him. When Chris hurt the oblique and Steve Pearce had to play first base down in Tampa on the turf, he played great. So, again, the only thing, and the one thing about Chris Davis, he's very agile, but he hasn't played here all year. So, we'll see if it affects him or not. I think the most important thing is not how he plays third base if he just gets on track with his batting, because he's really struggled this month.
Now, today is the final game in the month of June. The Orioles will have a winning month. And, Jim, one of the trends that is promising, the pitching ERA is going in the right direction as they're about to head into July.
Yeah, we're going to avoid the last 3 out of 4 games where they gave up 5 and 12 runs, but they pitched a lot better. The one thing, and everybody, you go to the gym and they go, why aren't the Orioles more than 3 games over 500? They've hit a lot of home runs in the month of June. They lead the major leagues. Bottom line is they never quite got it all in sync. The runners in scoring position number, if you go back to a week ago Sunday when they were in New York, was almost up to 280. Now it's as you mentioned, the number this month is 246 or something like that. So they need to sync everything up. I don't know if that'll happen, but they're certainly going to get an opportunity with another 81 games to play.
Yeah, and a good place to start is on the mound tonight. Ubaldo Jimenez, he's been sitting on 2 wins since his second start in May.
Well, he hasn't won, didn't win in April, hasn't won in June. I saw him in the clubhouse. I said, first of all, they need to get you some runs. And that's what they did for Alex Cobb. Alex Cobb came in that game with Tampa Bay yesterday with 1.82 runs. What did they get him? 12. They hit 5 home runs. So they need 6. I told him, you're going to get 6 runs today. Pitched like you did against the White Sox, where he got out-pitched by Noesi, but it was one of his best starts of June. So that's all he has to do, trying very hard to get back on track.
And tonight it's the opening game of a 4-game series, the Orioles' final game in the month of June. And now let's join the public address.
We ask that you please rise and that gentlemen remove your hats. This evening, the Baltimore Orioles and Major League Baseball mourn the passing of Frank Cashin. Mr. Cashin served as the Orioles' executive vice president from 1965 through 1975 during the team's most successful on-field era, winning 2 World Series championships, 4 American League pennants, and 5 AL East titles. He also later joined the commissioner's office before becoming general manager of the New York Mets for more than a decade. In honor of his contributions to the Orioles and to Major League Baseball, and in respect for the family and friends he leaves behind, we ask that you please join us in a reflective moment of silence.
Is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Find Southwest Airlines fares online only at southwest.com. And by Navy Federal Credit Union, 4 million members, 4 million stories, Navy Federal Credit Union. It is a beautiful night for baseball downtown Baltimore. Here's our train game time temperature. Visit trainsearch.com to find your local train comfort specialist dealer. It's hard to stop a train, really hard. 84 degrees, humidity now up over 50%. The winds out of the south-southeast at about 9 miles an hour. And yes, still mostly sunny skies in downtown Baltimore. First of 4 against Texas. Here's the Rangers starting lineup for tonight. CHOO, Andrus, and PENA with Beltre in the cleanup spot, then Rios in right. Martin in center. Chineros will catch. Odor at second base, and Michael Choice DHs. Elvis Andrus, 14 career multi-hit games against the Orioles, and he loves hitting here at Camden Yards.
Yeah, well, let's hope that's not the case tonight. Take a look at Ubaldo Jimenez, and fastball 54% of the time. He actually had a pretty good velocity, 92, 93. Average fastball though, 90. Breaking balls, sliders, and a little bit of a curveball at 27, so a little bit over a quarter of the time. And then the important one was the splitter, but you need to get ahead to throw that. So there are the numbers. The one thing you look at right there, 53 walks in only 88 innings. So the base on balls, it's really not about batting average, not about slugging, it's not about home runs, 10 of them, even though he did give up a solo to Abreu, but everybody does that, Jose Abreu in the last start. It's can you get ahead of guys, and can you keep the pitch count down.
And he misses low to SHIN-SOO Choo in his first season with the Texas Rangers. Choo comes in red hot. He's hitting 3 in a row and is 6 for 12 in those games. Yeah, he will work a walk.
Yeah, he will. And of course, this year, because of all the injuries they've had, Marlin out with an ankle problem, Fielder the neck surgery, he's had to hit third, and he's a prototypical leadoff guy. And right here, none of those pitches with any good velocity, and none of them even close to the strike zone. So, and I can't really explain that one. What 50-some points higher, and is Texas a great place to hit? There's a strike, and the one thing about Choo, when you're this type of hitter and you have power and you're on base guy, that's what he's always been known for. You're always going to work the count. You're going to get pitches to hit. And there's one, good late life, and that's what Jimenez is about. If you go back to 2010, he was thrown in the upper 90s. And since then, the velocity's dropped. It's about trying to get ahead, which he can't do. And even here, he doesn't want to walk him because it opens up holes. And Andrus has been hitting better. And as you said, he hits very well in this ballpark.
And a called strike 3. Ubaldo comes back to get him after falling behind 3-0. And Choo disagrees with the call of Jeff Nelson.
Well, this is a nice break for the Orioles. It's a grounder. It's underneath his knees. And again, from here, it's over the plate. Right around the corner. You got to remember, the edge of the ball can hit the plate. But this is what you're seeing. You could see it's definitely low. Huge play, and you get the open mouth tap of the helmet. And that's what Choo does. Easily to overreact on that play, and he doesn't, because he did earn the base on balls. But it's a strikeout.
Caleb Joseph with a nice job of framing there helped get that call. Here's Elvis Andrus. And Ubaldo misses low. Andrus has a 4-game hitting streak going. See his career numbers here at Camden Yards. Both he and Choo love hitting here in Baltimore. And there's a strike in the outside corner, so 1-1 to count.
Wow, that surprised everybody in their dugout. Not only was that a breaking ball, it was a good one. That was like the 2-strike breaking ball when you know, hey, I just want to throw it low and away. He's working very fast. That's the one thing. I talked to Mickey Callaway, who was the pitching coach in Cleveland last year, and he said the key to Mr. Jimenez is, hey, try to get him with a good, quick rhythm and cadence.
And the 2-1 is lined into right field. There's a base hit. How about that? Elvis Andrus continues his hot hitting at Camden Yards, and a 1-out single.
Well, take a look at the Oriole defense, and a little bit different with Machado starting the 5-game suspension. CRUZ, Jones, MARKAKIS. Pretty typical outfield. Chris Davis across the diamond. He's going to play third. Hardy, the Gold Glover, Scope. Boy, what an arm. What some great plays he's made lately. Steve Pearce moves over, and then the rookie Caleb Joseph doing the catching. So how important is that the difference between that leadoff strikeout and a walk with a base hit by Andrus.
And there is Chris Davis at third base using Manny Machado's glove. Chris did not have a fielder's glove here, only a first baseman's glove, so he's borrowing Manny's as Manny begins his 5-game suspension tonight.
So let's hope that the platinum is glittering around that glove.
And here is Carlos Pena, but a throw to first. Elvis Andrus will run. He's got 18 steals on the year.
Yeah, he's got the most. Martin with 17 down the lineup. So they run a little bit. 58 attempts with 58 successful, 32 being thrown out.
Carlos Pena is up with the Rangers after they signed him for a AAA contract, and he'll take a strike, playing in his 7th game. So the Orioles saw quite a bit of him when he was in his prime with Tampa Bay. 136 is the average.
Well, he strikes out a lot, and he's got home run power. And he's always, for a guy, I mean, he's always been a very good defensive player.
And he has come full circle now. He was the Rangers' first-round pick back in 1998. And Ubaldo misses down and in, 1-1. Now, you were talking about the pacing and how Ubaldo really needs to keep a quicker pace. Yesterday, I thought Miguel Gonzalez fell into that. I thought he was very deliberate, even pondering pitches at times, and never was able, as a result, I think, to get into a rhythm.
Yeah, he threw a lot of balls up in the zone. I mean, there was 2 games, successive games. Chen, 3 home runs, all on balls up. Got behind Jennings. Solo home run to start the game on Saturday. Hanging change up to Forsythe. Hanging change up to Kiermaier, who looked like one of the greatest young players in the history of the game. And then yesterday, Gonzalez, everything up. And then the bullpen came in, one of their rare bad days. A lot of bad pitches, very hittable pitches. And to the Rays' credit, they hit 5 home runs.
Yeah, twice the Orioles got a lead in that game yesterday, and the Rays, in their very next at-bat each time, able to come back and tie the game or get the lead.
Well, there's a lesson to be learned because they came limping in to some degree, 13 and 23.
Runner goes, pitch is taken, throw by Joseph, the tag, he is out at second base. Caleb Joseph does it again.
And then he gets a big assist. If you're playing NBA, if you want to get guys to score, you give them the assist. Look at the tag by Hardy. The ball bounces, catches, tag, and stays with him. So you have to stay him. Pretty good jump, but it doesn't look like it's a straight steal. I don't know why he's looking in. And then, Joseph's on Saturday, a couple of throws. Look at the release. So you get it in the neighborhood, and then you get the Gold Glover. I mean, right in the web. And then he's going to stay with him because the one thing you've learned this year with the challenge, you better tag, and not only that, maintain the tag into the base and then maybe sometimes off. There's a good pitch.
So Caleb now has caught 52% of base stealers, Jim. He's caught 13, and 12 have made it. What an outstanding job. And here's a guy last year at Bowie did not even catch every day.
Well, he's really turned, he's turned the corner defensively.
And the 3-2 to Pena, swung on and lifted to left. Back on it is Nelson Cruz. Nelly has a play. And he puts it away. So Ubaldo has a 3-batter inning. The strikeout helped out. We'll head to the bottom of the first. The Orioles are coming up. Orioles in the bottom of the first, and the Orioles starting lineup brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Find Southwest Airlines fares online only at southwest.com. Markakis, Pearson, CRUZ with Jones in the cleanup spot. Then Davis, Young, and Hardy. Schoop at second, and Joseph doing the catching. How about Delvin Young in the last 5 games? 7 for 9, a home run, and a couple of RBIs.
And they will face Joe Saunders. So fastball 64%, breaking ball 22. A lot of changeups. 33-year-old left-hander. A second time he has faced the Orioles. So he's 7-0 lifetime against the Orioles. He's never lost. He has not won a game, though. He's lost his last 7 of 11 appearances, going all the way back till last year. His last win is the 13th of the month of August. So again, you can see averages is up, both righties and lefties. Right-handers hitting him better. Adam Jones with the home run, one of the 2 runs. They did not get many runs off him down in Texas. He did give up 2, and Adam hit a home run, but he scattered 10 hits, and he did pitch. In fact, he pitched the wild card game for the Orioles against the Rangers and was the winning pitcher back in 2012. He's a finesse guy. I mean, he can throw 90, but he doesn't want to throw it over all the time. These 2 guys have a lot in common.
Yeah, he's not a pitch to contact guy.
You would think he would be, because he's been around long enough and certainly has the experience to pitch that way.
He'll go against Nick Markakis leading off and nearly hit him.
Well, there's almost pitching to contact. Drills him in the shoulder. Up and in, and I don't think Nick likes to get hit. Almost got the jersey. That was kind of in vogue over the weekend.
Yeah,
guys getting hit in the jersey, but it counts.
1-1 the count on Nick. Nick's got a 2-game hitting streak going, 9 hits on the homestand. See the batting average just below 300. He and Adam Jones, they're in some kind of a race for the team lead in hits, each with 101 now. And a foul off his foot.
Yeah, that's one thing that lefties can do. I remember the late Mike Flanagan taught Doug Johns in one spring training, one of the most effective hitters to guys like Nick Markakis, who hit lefties very well. Don Mattingly, I mean Mo Vaughn back in that era, was to be able to run the 2-seam fastball on the inside corner. Because what all good left-handed hitters against lefties have in common, they cover the outside part of the plate with their front shoulder.
Well, Markakis has had a lot of success against Texas, in particular with his slugging percentage. And that's something with Nick that you look for maybe in the second half to improve upon overall, but he's certainly done it against Texas.
Well, that's some pretty heady company.
And another foul off his foot all the way out to Pena.
Again, another 2-seam fastball. You just hold it with the seams and run it in. And what Flanny taught Doug Johns was this pitch right here, because Nick, he's such a good hitter because he can cover and hit the ball the other way, cover that outside corner. So you're protecting away, and Brooks Robinson used to always talk about toughest pitch with 2 strikes is the ball in. And the 2-seam fastball runs in on the lefties when thrown properly.
And a good take for ball 3.
Now, of course, that's the same pitch, and Bedard doesn't have quite the velocity, but off of Eric Bedard, the first run off him was a home run by Nick Markakis on a 2-seam fastball, but it was about 81 miles per hour.
And the 3-2 is ripped down the line, but it's going to go foul.
That's that same pitch, Jim, and he's just trying to fight it off. Cover away, react in.
Joe Saunders is from Springfield, Virginia, which is approximately 57 miles from Camden Yards. He was the Angels' first-round pick back in 2002 out of Virginia Tech. The Orioles that year drafted Adam Lowen with their first-round pick. And there's a pitch high. A walk to Markakis leading off.
Well, take a look at the Rangers' defense. Ron Washington, their manager, saying there is no defense for walks. CHOO, Martin, and Rios pretty good at outfield. Beltre, the Gold Glover, Andres Odor, Pena, who's been really picked, and then Chirinos, who's throwing out more runners, 49%, 19 of them. Maybe not the highest percentage now that Caleb Joseph threw out Andres, but that's the highest percentage in baseball. The most runners with 19.
Well, here is Steve Pearce, red hot. Hits well against left-handed pitching. Hits well against right-handed pitching. Especially in June.
He's hitting everybody. Yeah, he's having a nice June. In June, 358. I mean, the numbers have come down a little bit. That gives you an idea how hot he is, because the league adjusts. gets up more. Scouts are seeing him. Hey, don't stay out over the plate. Right there.
Well, that ball is going to go. Steve Pearce gets it out over the plate, and the Orioles grab a 2-0 lead on a long home run by Pearce.
No, that's what I'm talking about. If you cannot pitch in, change speeds down and away, he's been having quality bats. So the 8th home run of the season. And there are the Orioles, 43 home runs, most in Major League Baseball.
And just like that, our Maryland Lottery contestant of the game, Rhonda Terrell Carroll of Forestville, has won another $500, $500 for being selected, and now $500 for the home run by Pearce.
So Joe Saunders says, okay, what do I want to do? I want to be aggressive. He walks the first guy. I want to keep the ball in the ballpark. 1-0 home run. Well, again, do you get a good pitch to hit? You be the judge. Inside middle.
Well, Rhonda Terrell Carroll of Forestville. How about that? Already $1,000 for being the Maryland Lottery contestant of the night.
And they're only starting.
Well, the way the Orioles are hitting home runs, I like Rhonda's chances.
Yeah, well, Rhonda, good luck.
That is the 5th home run allowed by Saunders, and this is 8th start for Texas. Spent some time on the DL.
Well, he got hit by Longoria, hit him with a line drive. I think the first start of the year. Yeah. Not a good way to start the season.
They thought it was a sprain, and then they found out that it was a stress fracture.
Yeah.
Hit him so hard it stressed it.
That's kind of what Pearce did.
And the 3-1 is hit to short. Big hop there for Andrews.
See, that's the way Joe Saunders pitches. He doesn't want to get behind 3-1, but if you're 33, and he's got a lot of innings, you have to be able to pitch down in the zone and out of the, in and out, add and subtract. That's what Bedard did. And right there, I mean, you don't want to get behind 3-1, but then he makes a really good pitch and you get an out. And
our Maryland Lottery contestant of the game, Rhonda Terrell Carroll of Forestville, $500 for being selected. She's won another $500 for the Pearce home run. She'll win more, another $500 for every other home run. Play the Orioles scratch off for the Maryland Lottery for your chance to be a contestant of the game. Win a trip to see the O's play at Wrigley Field or to the World Series. Learn more, mdlottery.com/Orioles.
Now, can it be both Wrigley Field and the World Series? Because you know for sure the Orioles are going to Wrigley Field. They're going to Chicago for a whole week in August. Cleveland over the weekend, and then the White Sox, day off, and then the Cubbies.
Jones fouls it back. Well, talk about relying on the home run. How about what the Orioles are doing, Jim, in the month of June? It's just amazing. 61% of their runs this month have come in via the home run, and they now have the highest percentage of runs scored on home runs for the season in all of Major League Baseball, a shade under 45%.
That's what they did last year. They didn't have the highest, I don't think, but they had like 46%. And of course they led the Major League in home run with 212.
Adam fouls it off, and Jones has been red hot, and he loves hitting Joe Saunders.
Yeah, well, that's the home run, and right down the right field line. Ball flies in Texas, but as we saw yesterday, the weather heating up. Humidity, what, 12% higher than it was yesterday coming into this game, and I guess it's going to heat up into the low to maybe just below mid-90s over the next couple of days.
Adam lays off the breaking ball, 2-2.
Yeah, that can be very frustrating when again you make your pitch down and away, and all of a sudden the guy is homering inside the foul pole down the right field line. But that's pretty much with Adam with 8 June home runs. He's used the whole field about as well as I've ever seen him do. And then with 2 strikes, he just seems like a little bit more plate discipline.
Well, Matt Joyce yesterday, 5 for 6 against the Orioles with 2 home runs. He took that swing to New York. He homered in the top of the first, and the Rays have a 1-0 lead on the Yankees.
Yeah, they came in offensively challenged, and that changed. Well, Ron Washington, besieged by injuries. Young players learning how to play at the major league level.
Adam the other way. That ball's trouble if it's fair, towards the corner, and foul.
And having to do that, the Rangers or even the Orioles. I mean, if you look at the Orioles, and Schoop is learning to play second base. Flaherty, a Rule 5 guy, limited time last year playing, and now all of a sudden having to just figure it out. Joseph behind the plate with the elbow injury to Wieters. A lot of ball clubs, but not to the extent that the Rangers have had to do. I mean, they've been decimated by injuries.
Well, Markakis had a long at bat. Jones about to see the 7th pitch in this at bat. And again, he slaps a foul the other way.
Hey, you think you're making good pitches, and what all Adams is trying to do is get a little bit better pitch to hit, and in the interim, I'll foul him away, and maybe I can get to 3 and 2. Get only 9 walks, so he's not up there to walk, as we know. But he was talking on the bench today. If you look at his number 10, he said, I'm really good kind of below 10, and when I chase above it, it's when I sometimes get myself out.
Deep to left field. That ball's got a chance, and that ball is going to go. There's a home run for Jones, 2 in the inning. And it's a 3-0 lead for the O's.
Well, that's all about number 1 being Adam Jones. 33 home runs last year. That is number 15, and that's fouling off the good pitches and then getting a better one to drive. 9th home run in the month of June.
And how about another $500 for our Maryland Lottery contestant of the game, Rhonda Terrell Carroll of Forestville. $1,500 already, and we're still in the first.
Well, what's that song? Help, help me, Rhonda, help. People will be calling her if they keep hitting home runs. Look at this slider. See, again, he fouled off the good pitches, and Joe Saunders is trying to throw it off the back foot and doesn't get it there.
And Davis lays off, check swing, and Scott Barry says he did in fact check. So Adam hits number 15. He has 49 RBIs.
Well, that's already more runs than Jimenez gets on an average for all the games this year. I told him he's getting at least 6. So the Orioles are going to do an Alex Cobb, where they got him 12 when he was getting 1.82.
And Davis goes down on strikes for the second out. So Chris now 85 Ks on the year and 2 down.
A nice pitch by Joe Saunders, and able to get the slider down and away, and get to the 2 strikes and get him to chase.
And Christen's coming off the disabled list in now 45 games, has struck out 60 times.
Well, I talked to a lot of Texas people, and their comment was he's swinging like he did when he was a Ranger, which is not a lot of plate discipline.
Delmon Young fouls it off.
And hopefully that'll change.
Well, when he breaks out, or when he's had the chance to break out as an Oriole, Jim, he's used left center field. He's a very good opposite field hitter.
And it doesn't have to be a home run. If you go back to when I thought he was swinging better, I wasn't doing the games, but they were doubles. And just, even if you dump a ball, stay inside the ball a little bit longer. And I'm sure that process is there somewhere.
Big chopper to Odor at second base. Delmon Young retired, and the inning ends, but a big inning for the Orioles following that leadoff walk. Steve Pearce and then Adam Jones, home runs in the inning. A 2-run shot and a solo, and the Birds grab a 3-0 lead. to look forward to. Miller time later in tonight's game. All brought to you by Miller Lite. Well, those guys are celebrating home runs.
Yeah, just think you get to hit maybe 3-4 more at bats. So for Mr. Jimenez, there's your run support.
And you know, I think Jim Presley's okay with relying on the home run when he gets them.
You, young man, are exactly right. Oh, yes, I'll agree with that. So will Jim.
Yes, he will.
So 8 for 20 lifetime, Beltre against Jimenez. And he's been red hot. He's having a .394 June with 4 home runs. Those are the numbers we were talking about.
And Ubaldo falls behind 2-0.
Well, we always talk about the shutdown innings. They get you 3. Try to come out, be aggressive. You get 3 runs to work with. Doesn't mean you throw them down the middle, but there's a good moving fastball. That's the one thing about Ubaldo is that in 2010 that would have been 95, 96, 97. Well, he doesn't have that, but he does have movement, and you have to trust that. So sometimes throwing a ball for the middle of the plate means it's not going to go there. Because it's not about the fact that he gets hit that hard. It's a combination of the base on balls and when they happen, and then what happens after that.
Yeah, I mean, you look at his numbers, and base runners per 9 innings is not too out of whack. Bouncer to third. First test for Chris Davis, who backhands and fires across.
Yeah, just call me Manny.
Yeah, it's in the glove. It's all about the glove.
That's right.
Look, it's a gold glove.
Well, it's kind of like what was the bat that Robert Redford used in the Natural? Wonder Boy? It's the glove. And what? He's got a nice arm. He's already, he's undefeated as a pitcher.
Coming into tonight's game, he had played 1 inning at third base all year. And he has 71 career games at third. With the Orioles, except for that 1 inning this year, he hadn't been on that side of the diamond since 2011, which was right after the trade.
Well, we found out that he can play third, he can play the outfield, he can pitch. He's a very plus defender at first. I'm sure what I was saying. I mean, the Orioles got beat 12-7 yesterday. He said, but there were 4 outstanding defensive plays that they made. So yeah, they made horrible pitches and they gave up 5 home runs, and that certainly changes the way it looks on the scoreboard. But the one thing about this ball club, I mean, the pitchers didn't make the good pitches, but the club didn't beat themselves. And I'm talking about covering first base, relay plays. Davis made a nice play, a great tag on a pickoff by Hunley. So did a lot of things right. They just didn't pitch well enough to win.
And the 1-2 to Rios is just outside, 2-2.
Yeah, you could see Jeff Nelson when the arm almost came up. And slider just missed.
Rios tied for 9th in batting in the American League. There's a lot of speculation that with Texas so far out of it in the AL West that he might be traded. And his bat certainly would be helpful to a contender.
Yeah, the only thing he hasn't done this year is hit home runs. Home runs are down only 3, but over 300 with the average. Yep.
Went too far.
And 93. Yeah. Well, if you pitch ahead, Jim, you get those calls. Because again, if it's 2-0, 2-1, 3-1, they're looking for their pitch. 2 strikes, they're defending, and you expand the strike zone. So there you go, way out in front of the plate.
Second strikeout for Ubaldo, who averages a shade under 8 per game. You see his numbers against Texas. He has always enjoyed pitching against the Rangers. Leonis Martin takes a strike.
Well, he's, when we talk about Ubaldo, he's pitched well in his last 3 starts. Even the game against, that was the Noesi game where he didn't get any runs. He gave up 4 runs, but, otherwise he would have given up 2 in the 6 innings. They would have gone to the bullpen. The game before, 1 run, and that was up in New York, and then Toronto. We know how they can hit.
Fly ball, shallow left center field. Jones will glide to it, and he has it for the out. And Ubaldo has that shutdown inning. His team gets in the lead. He retires Texas 3 up, 3 down in the second. members of our armed forces, and tonight Alexander Polyak, who is a petty officer in the United States Coast Guard. He's been in the Coast Guard since 2007. Here at the game tonight and back home, just completed a tour of duty as a search and rescue radio watchstander in Juneau, Alaska. So we'd like to send our best to Alexander Polyak and all of our armed forces members as they continue to do a wonderful job preserving our freedom.
Thank you very much, as always. Boy, it's great. You know, you travel a lot. You get first people they allow on plane before first class global members and whatever. The military, as it should be.
Yes. You fly first class?
No, I'm saying before first class or global members.
Just checking. Here's J.J. Hardy.
Young man, if I don't fly first class, who does?
Who does?
That's a Cosell.
Right.
Not as good as Roy Firestone can do his Howard Cosell. Speaking of sports.
1-1 on the count on Hardy. J.J. is trying to find that stroke to drive in runs. He's got the stroke for base hits. There's a stroke to drive in runs. That's how you do it. You hit a mistake and you hit it out. There's number 2, and it's 4-0 O's.
Oh, there's the home run bat. It surfaced up in New York a week ago Sunday off of Jose Rivera on a 95-mile-per-hour fastball, and nobody at shortstop the last 3 years hit more home runs than J.J. Hardy. 25, 22, 30.
And our Maryland Lottery contestant of the game, Rhonda Terrell Carroll of Forestville. She's becoming the 3rd member of our team here. Another $500. She's up to $2,000 tonight in the Maryland Lottery contestant of the game contest.
Now you take a look right here and middle of the plate. This used to be Death Valley for pitchers in the American interleague play, and it becomes again. And ball flying. Saunders in the middle of the plate 3 times, and the Orioles taking advantage of it. I mean, it's the same guy that gave him one solo home run, scattered 10 hits tonight. The long ball variety so far.
Jonathan Scope with a good take. He runs the count to 3-0. So J.J. number 2.
Is he going to be swinging here?
Yes, have a cold beverage there after a home run. Nope, he was taken. 3-1. 96 miles an hour that left the ballpark. And they'll be average 77 miles an hour of balls put in play. Bounce to third and foul.
Yeah, well, if you get them, 96, you saw what the average mile per hour. But if you get the ball in the air to the power alleys, especially left field here, when we saw right field, the balls were flying out too. You can pull the ball here straight away to the power alleys. You're going to hit a lot of home runs, and then you get that kind of bat speed because that tells you the ball wasn't popped up. Because just think about it, you could have the same bat speed, but if the ball is popped up, it doesn't come off the bat at the same miles per hour.
Jonathan pops it up the other way. Odor calls off Pena. He's got a better angle and has it for the out, and one away here in the second. Let's get a look at our Jeep inside the numbers, Jim. And how about the home run ball and the Orioles with their rankings?
Well, they took most of March and April off. They're kind of resting for May, and then. But again, the runs, and the runs are up this month because they're hitting so much more home runs. And then May, again, the on-base percentage, not what they like. They don't walk a lot. Maybe they don't go from first to third. Sacrifice flies down. But again, at the end of the day, when you hit home runs like they are this month, and you pitch a little bit, which was been the case with the exception of the weekend when Tampa Bay came in, you're going to win some games. And you're going to score a lot of runs.
And they've now, with those 45 home runs, driven in 76 runs off of those 45.
And they've been timely. I mean, Nelson Cruz, the grand slam against the White Sox, overcame a 4-0 deficit earlier last week. You're down 4-0 in the 8th inning, and not only do you hit a home run, but it's a grand slam. Ties it up. You win an extra innings.
Chris Davis the night before, the three-run
home run
to walk it off.
So not only home runs, but timely ones.
And there's a base hit for Caleb Joseph. Caleb's going to be feeling good about himself. They shifted on him. Well, Caleb gets a base hit. He went against the shift. Well, tomorrow when the Orioles take on the Rangers at 7:05, come out and join us. You don't want to miss the next Ollie's Bargain Night, presented by Ollie's Bargain Outlet. Of course, every Tuesday home game, all season long, all the upper reserve seats just $9 when purchased in advance. So gather up your family and friends and save on a great night of Orioles baseball. Get your tickets, Orioles.com, or just call 888-848-BIRD.
Well, you wonder why you shift. I mean, coming into the season, 71% of balls hit on the ground were pulled. So it usually, when it gets up to 80 or more, that's when you really shift. And then with certain counts, that's what they look at, they'll shift within the confines of an at-bat.
There's Markakis. He'll take ball one.
That was an amazing number. And then, you know, again, that was going back looking at 2013 at 71% of the balls. And the reason they don't shift on Nick Markakis because he's not in that classification.
Yeah, he has his own classification. Foul line to foul line.
Yeah, and it works. I mean, he's closing in on 300 this year. A couple of ticks lower lifetime than a 300 hitter.
Now this may be the year he reaches that 200 hit plateau. It's only been done 6 times in Orioles history. He came close his second year, 2007. He had 191. Both he and Adam have that as a goal this year, to try to reach 200 hits. It's a real good goal because you know that if you do that, you're helping your team. It's not one of those hooray for me goals if you set it, because if you get 200 hits, you're helping your team all season long because of the consistency.
But Busholo will get the pom-poms out.
Oh, absolutely.
Hooray, you're helping me.
Yes, that's right.
And then, of course, he helps you so many other ways, defensively.
And you look at his season, Jim. He had 30 hits in April, 38 in May, and now he's got 33 in June. So very, very consistent.
Well, he's healthy. You know, last year, back problem after coming off the hammock bone in 2012, the broken hand. CC Sabathia hit him. He couldn't even play in the wild card game or the division series, and hurt his back last year, so never could do the conditioning. Would have been a little bit different this year.
And you could see how well he's seen the ball by the pitches he takes.
Well, also you got a guy that's got to be a little tentative on the mound. I mean, and I don't mean this laughingly, because I don't know if I've ever did this in an All-Star game. We have already given up 3 home runs. But Joe Saunders has got to say, boy, they're seeing what I'm throwing tonight. 3 home runs, 4-0 deficit already here in this second inning.
And a bouncer towards the middle. Andrews doesn't make the play, and Joseph's going to go to third. Oh, indecision there, Jim. He was wondering what to do with the ball after he gloved it, and then he didn't glove it.
Yeah, I mean, you got to catch it first, and you know Ron Washington, the skipper, certainly knows that. And so he's already by the bag, so he's am I going to catch it? Am I going to have a chance to go around? And right here, I mean, he's thinking, oh, I got to catch it, what he never does. And then he's thinking, am I going to get it to Odor, the second baseman? And not only does it go through, Caleb Joseph running hard because he's thinking maybe I have to break up a double play, gets all the way to third base with 1 out. Mike Maddox is going to come out, have a little talk with Joe Saunders.
And that has been ruled an error on Andrews.
Yeah, I don't think they would have got a double play, but what they would have gotten was at least 1 out. So if you get that, and it most likely would have been the lead runner, Saunders would have been 1 out from getting out of this inning.
So Andrews commits his 9th error. Orioles have first and third and 1 down, and here is Steve Pearce, who has already done damage.
And it's not like he's shown us that he's got the kind of stuff to this point that he can pick up his defense. And then you got a guy that's already homered after the leadoff walk to Nick Markakis.
For Pearce, it was his 8th home run. And he fouls it back, and he got all of it in the first inning.
Yeah, trying to go in, but doesn't get in. And that's one of the consequences of pitching in small ballparks. Oh, there's a happy fan, and whoever he's hugging.
Yeah, he's great. You go to the game, you catch a home run ball hit by one of your birds. As Pearce fouls it off.
So now let's see if And we've seen him do this. Steve has really battled counts. He's going to have to, because Saunders is going to hunt a strikeout here. And he would love to strike him out or pop him up and at least keep it 4 runs.
Orioles have them on the corners with only 1 down. Saunders does have 1 strikeout so far. And the 0-2 is upstairs, 1-2. And Buck, before the game, when he met with the media, he was asked about, all right, well, how are you going to replace Manny Machado? He's got Chris Davis at 3rd tonight, so he can move Pierce to 1st. And Buck said he's been trying to get Delmon Young in the lineup more, but the problem is, and it's a good problem, Pierce has prevented that because he's been so hot. So he continues to get the starts, and Delmon continues to come off the bench. So Delmon getting a start tonight with Manny Machado unavailable.
Yeah, he earned his stripes and his ability, and it started right. Claimed by Toronto, chose not to go there. Chris Davis hurts the oblique, plays the heck out of first base down in Tampa Bay, and so he can help you defensively too.
From 0-2 to 2-2, and he popped it up. May not be deep enough to score Caleb. Martin will make the catch, and Caleb doesn't even bother tagging. So Pierce is retired, 2 men down.
Yeah, I think with a guy coming up with 25 home runs and 66 RBIs, you are not getting your catcher thrown out at the plate on a shallow fly ball to center field.
There's Nelly.
Nice pitching by Joe Saunders to at least pick up Elvis Andrus after the error, but still's got some further work to do.
Cruz grounded out the shortstop his first at bat. He's having a strange year in regards to his splits, Jim. 20 RBIs at home, 46 on the road, more than double his RBI output on the road.
Well, 9 home runs here, and then 16 on the road. He hit a couple over the Chicago, the Grand Slam, and then 1 against Tampa Bay. And you can see those numbers; they're pretty glowing. But again, when you have this kind of year, they've always known he's a powerful guy and he can hit home runs. You get pitched to, so they're pitching him very carefully. Unfortunately for Saunders, you got Adam Jones right behind him. So again, if he pitches around CRUZ or doesn't make his pitches, he has a guy that homered down in Texas and is already homered tonight. So you want to get yourself right into the shower, pitch around CRUZ to get to Jones the way he's hit you.
Saunders is the only active pitcher who has never lost to the Orioles, having made at least 10 starts against the Birds. But he trails here 4-0, so that may go by the wayside in the record books. Well, 7-0 and a 3.98 ERA.
But if you're a veteran, and here's his pitching coach Mike Maddox looking on. If you're a veteran, you're just trying to get out of this inning. I mean, it's like you're going down for the 2nd time in the pool, and you're not a really good swimmer. If he gets out of this inning, everything changes. And it's not only for him, it's for his ball club. I mean, just think about it, the dynamics. You've given up more runs than you anticipated giving up. If you can get out of this inning, they go in there and they go, hey, we got a chance still. Now, if Cruz hits one, I don't mean a home run, but single, double, whatever, that means Jones gets to the plate. And, after that 7-run 7th inning yesterday, or was it a 9-run inning? 9 runs in that 1 inning. Or
no, 7.
7 runs.
It wasn't that
seemed
bad.
like 9. Well, the bullpen gave up 9.
That's right.
7 in the 7th.
In the game.
Anyway, the Orioles know what big innings and what that can do to ball clubs.
Yeah, right to the second baseman Odor. They'll flip to Andrus. They get the force on Markakis, and that will end the inning. But the Orioles do get a run on J.J. Hardy's 2nd home run of the year. And yes, the celebration on the bench. How about some seeds? at Camden Yards. The fans turning out to watch Ubaldo Jimenez, who's looking for his first win since May the 8th. The strikeout of Rios and getting some help from his defense. Joseph a caught stealing and Chris Davis at third. And, oh yes, the Thunder. 2-run home run by Pierce. A solo by Adam Jones. And then J.J. Hardy hits his second on the year. When he hit his first in New York, they gave him a silent treatment. He gave himself a sunflower seed shower. And today his teammates do it. Jeep inside the numbers. How about run support or lack thereof?
Well, yeah, lack of. But that can change. It changed for Alex Cobb. Came in yesterday. He really didn't pitch as well as he has. He was 3-1 with about a 1.36 ERA. So he gives up 4 runs, 3 earned, but they get him 12. And,
so let's see. 2.45, and he's got 4, and we're only through 2 innings. So I like the trend.
But you have to understand, you know this as well as I am. When you're a starting pitcher, they get you runs, you come back out, you get them out, and you get your hitters up there again. It's just a process of you get them out, more runs, out, more runs, or at least give them the opportunity to do that. So there, like I said, Saunders pitches out of maybe more runs. So now all of a sudden you got a guy, Chirinos, who's been very hot. You know, he goes 3-0. They get a guy on. Next guy hits a double or a looper or whatever. And all of a sudden they think, hey, we have a chance to win.
And lays it in there for a strike. Chirinos on the just concluded homestand for Texas. 5 out of 13 with a home run.
He's having a great June, Jim. I mean, he's hitting over 300 with 5 of his 7 home runs.
There's another base hit.
There's a double.
Jones trying to cut it off. He gets there. Chirinos is trying for 2. Here's the throw. He is out at second base.
Well, you're going to see a challenge here. But again, you don't have a challenge, and here comes Ron Washington. The whole bench was up over the railing. If Adam Jones doesn't get to it, you know, you got Nick running away from the play, Nick Markakis, so he's going to have to turn and throw. You got Adam going the other way, has to try to pivot and turn. So again, if you don't make a good throw, I mean, look at the slide in the play. I mean, this is a glove outfielder. And does he get the glove down? No. Nope.
He's safe.
No, he's safe. And it's going to change. See, I think the foot gets in because the throw, not that it was off a whole lot, it's just the timing where the glove just didn't get there under the tag. And
he's not going to challenge.
No, yeah, he is. He's got to. Either that or they don't have a guy.
Oh, now he's going to challenge. Yeah. He went to the crew chief, Jeff Nelson, to tell him.
Yeah. If you did not challenge that, you don't have anybody in the video room.
Right. Yeah, this will be overturned. He was safe, or it should be overturned. And we have seen that with some obvious calls, at least to our perspective, that were not changed.
I saw a very quick tag, but you see he has to turn all the way around, and meanwhile, tag high, probably right up around the ankle, and watch this right here. See, the foot's in.
Yeah, he
tags him up and above, right around the calf. Probably the more definitive is right there. Foot in. So he gets himself a double. Continues at 300 month of June. Very close, but certainly conclusive enough to change it.
Actually taking longer than I thought it was after we saw that.
That doesn't mean they'll see what we see.
Right. They do get our feed.
Well, no, I meant they'll see it in the manner that we see it.
Right. Whatever group of umpires are assigned to the replay center tonight.
You cannot express it through pictures any better than we have done, as you knew.
I concur. We're still waiting for the verdict from New York City.
Thumbs up or thumbs down.
Chirinos believes he'll be awarded second base, and here we go. Yep, he's safe. There's a double, and that is the right call. And now Buck is coming out to talk to Jeff Nelson. You can't challenge a challenge.
No, but I think he's maybe kind of wondering. Maybe Ron Washington kind of walked off the field and then he went back to the crew chief. Just trying to get a point of order, so to speak.
And making sure Jeff Nelson gives him whatever he asked him, that follows what his understanding of the rules are. And as you know, Buck knows the rules inside and out. I thought he wasn't going to challenge when he walked away from Toby Basner, because he didn't indicate. Usually when you go to the base umpire then goes to the crew chief, and now Jeff Nelson's going to ask Toby Basner something.
Well, maybe there's a procedural thing that Buck knows and we don't know. And he obviously looks safe, but again, there are procedures that are put in place.
And you know, Buck knows the rules.
Yeah.
So now Jeff Nelson, after talking to Basner, let's look back and see when Ron Washington went out and talked to Toby Basner, the umpire at second base. And now Nelson tells Buck, and now he's going to have Ron Washington come out. And here's Washington.
And see, normally umpires are, he's kind of looking into the dugout, so he's kind of seeing, maybe trying to get some help. Of course, his whole bench, I mean, really, the entire team came racing up,
and then he walked away.
Yeah.
That's why I thought he wasn't going to challenge.
And then Chirinos, he was following him, but he went back.
So Buck is correct. Washington did not appear to ask Toby Basner for a challenge. In the end, they got the call right. And Chirinos has a leadoff double. Here's Rougned Odor, the young second baseman. He's 20 years old, out of Venezuela. With all the injuries they've had, he was called up from Double-A. Slices it the other way down the line, and that's going to fade back foul. Right past the Texas Rangers fan.
So we'll see how he plays it. I mean by that is, okay, you're down by 4, but you still want to get on the board. Runs are runs. So if he hits one to the right side, you'll get a runner at third. Michael Choice, who has been hitting well as of late, is the next hitter.
Nice block by Caleb Joseph. Chirinos holds at second base. Baldo in his last 9 starts, 0-4 with 5 no decisions.
Well, that's the run support. That and maybe not pitching quite as well as he would have liked.
And he has not won a game all year here at home. This is inside. Odor made his major league debut May the 8th after being called up from Double-A Frisco. He only signed with Texas in 2011, and he pulls it to first. Pierce will play the hop, flips to Ubaldo, who gets Odor and 1 away. But he does his job and gets the runner to third with now 1 down. Fans, you can win signed gear courtesy of Masson. Follow @MassonOrioles on Instagram and tag your Orioles fans' photos with the hashtag MassonOrioles, and you'll automatically be entered to win autographed memorabilia. Being social with Masson has its rewards. And there's the cool sunglasses look. No longer need the sunglasses. Here's Michael Choice, the number 9 batter.
Yeah, one of those. And I was talking to Ron Washington, and I said, boy, I watched him have some good at bats. He said, but he gets in ruts, and I guess he's in one of those now. 2 for 23. See if Jimenez can exploit that. He takes the ball that most young hitters would swing at. So he works the count into his favor. Strong guy. He's got some power.
2 for his last 23 and 5 for his last 55. And a breaking ball gets him back in the count, 1-1.
Well, that's a good one. And of course, Ubaldo would love to be able to get to 2 strikes and try to strike him out. That's the one thing that, even though maybe the stuff's eroded, he can get some strikeouts when he gets a hit. And there's a good pitch right on the fist. So now he's back into where he can use the splitter, maybe a breaking ball. Because you have a 4-0 lead, everybody back. you don't want any kind of big inning. So they're pretty much, unless the ball's hit back right to the pitcher, they're conceding a run.
Ubaldo ahead 1-2. And a good cut there, and he fouled it off.
Yeah, that was I'm going to protect. Laid on it, but stayed inside it.
Michael Choice is a native of Arlington, Texas, so he's back home playing for his hometown team. He was drafted by Oakland and then traded to Texas.
But you don't want to get to the point where you end up walking, and sometimes you go hunting for a strikeout because of the count, because of where the runner is, and all of a sudden you walk a guy and get yourself into a big inning. There it is. If you throw it a little bit closer. I think the one thing from watching Ubaldo last year and this year is the command of the split-fingered fastball. It just seems like it's more like a ball out of his hand, so guys don't chase it quite as much.
And the payoff pitch is swung on and missed. Oh my goodness, what a breaking ball. He had him badly fooled, and a big out, 2 away.
Yeah, I'm not sure this was in any of the films. It's almost like he drops down. And then Michael Choice says, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Oh, it's going to be a strike. Oh. And then the late swing. Ball was by him.
What a good call by Caleb Joseph there.
Yeah, take a look right here. I mean, look how far the ball is by him, and all of a sudden he realizes 3-2, runner in third. I better try to foul it off, and couldn't do it.
He struck out twice. It hit the corner, then he swung and missed. CHOO was called out on strikes his first at bat on a pitch that was a very generous call by Jeff Nelson.
You're being kind even now.
Oh, it was a ball.
It was a ball. But it wasn't.
That's right. The man whose opinion counts said strike.
Well, he can pick up Michael Choice with a base hit, and ooh, good swing there. There's a splitter that stays up, but you do get the strike, and Caleb's looking.
You want to make sure his cheek is still there.
Oh, yeah. I always saw Tyler Flowers get hit in the mask and it cut his nose. Tom Snyder had to come out, a longtime trainer for the White Sox. It looked like the fight doctor. There's a splitter and big swing.
Strike 3 called. He gets CHOO for a second time, and he works around a leadoff double. We'll head to the bottom of the third with the O's in front. Orioles baseball on Masson is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Find Southwest Airlines fares online only at southwest.com. And by Luna. For beautiful new carpet, hardwood, and laminate, call 877-241-LUNA. Sun reflecting off a window on the warehouse as it sets for the evening on a beautiful night for baseball here at Camden Yards. As the Orioles continue this 11-game homestand. Bucks-Birds have lost 2 in a row and 3 out of 4, but remain in second place in the division and remain just a game and a half back of front-running Toronto.
Yeah, everybody's catching up though. Red Sox, they're within what?
6.
Well, yeah, but the one number you look at is the loss column, and they're about 44 losses now.
5.
Yeah, they're only 5 back. So that's what you know at this juncture in the season, at least on the teams that I played that usually had postseason aspirations and were able to win somewhere between 90 and 109 games. You're thinking, hey, okay, we lost this, but we can catch them.
There's a bouncer towards the middle, and Andrus with a nice play, but he won't have a play at first. His momentum taking him too far in the center field.
Yeah, that and good judgment. Very prudent decision when trying to heave it. You got to know who's running. Well, good pitch by Joe Saunders. This is kind of, when he does make a good pitch, they don't either catch it or they do, and he can't make a play on it. So nice range and thought about it, but
so Adam Jones has a couple of hits tonight. 103 now on the year as he picks up yet another multi-hit game. Now 30 multi-hit games on the year. And here's Chris Davis. And Saunders gets ahead 0-1. Chris is now 0 for his last 12 and 3 for 19 on the homestand.
Yeah, when he's at his best, he does use the whole field. And a couple of years ago, Scott Coolbaugh was Dave Maganin, now the hitting instructor, but he had been their minor league guy, and there's a slider that's in the dirt. So obviously, he's not waiting, he's not seeing the ball. There's no rhythm to his swing. But what Scott said, of all the guys, whether it was Justin Smoak, who got traded up to the Mariners, or Mitch Moreland, who the guy they decided to go with, Chris was going to be the best of them because he could use left center field. Tremendous power that way, but unable to. And again, it's early in the season. I mean, it's only halfway to be able to use the whole ballpark. And I think he knows why. I mean, a normal, we've seen him, Jim, when Jim Presley will come out, and you can see the hot spot is where with the Oriole hitting instructor, and he'll actually soft toss him from down the third baseline. So he has to stay closed, and he has to kind of get the feeling of staying inside the baseball. Lately, you put out the numbers there, he's around everything.
Off the end of the bat to right field, charging in on it, Rios. And he has it for the first out here in the 3rd inning. Fans, you can kick off the holiday weekend early on Thursday with a patriotic-themed fireworks display after the Orioles-Rangers game at 7:05. That's the finale of this 4-game series. Celebrate America with family and friends as the downtown skies will light up over Oriole Park. Get your tickets now. Just get online at Orioles.com or call our friends at 888-848-BIRD. Oh, that's a nice overview shot. Way up there. Bob Uecker seats.
Yeah, but it does. I mean, it's such a great angle and perspective on plays at the plate, balls and strikes. I mean, it's one of the great shots in baseball.
Well, this is the shot from the screen, right behind him.
Well, and really kind of gives you an idea. Yeah. A lot of times our center field camera's off a little bit or whatever, so you kind of look at the glove when you look from this angle.
To third, backing up on a Beltre. Out there, Odor back to first, not in time. Delmon Young hustling down to keep the inning going. Jones trying to get into Odor at second base.
You think Odor doesn't hear him coming? Kind of a slow developing play anyway because of the high hop, and Beltre was a plus defender. A couple times he won a Gold Glove. He had to back up, so you're not going to turn to.
And there he is with his former Tampa Bay teammate Carlos Pena at first.
Pena's been teammates with a lot of people, yes. as Delmon.
That's right. Throw to first, chases him. Here's JJ, hit his second home run of the season. Now has 6 RBIs in June. And he'll take ball 1.
Yeah, Joe Saunders, you can see the pitch counts is to 65. He's just trying to figure out how to, and we saw a little bit of it as to get back to pitching on the edges of the plate, trying to get ahead, but just not too much of the cowhide over the rubber plate that's 17 inches wide. So you get an extra, if you take the edge of the ball and you put it on both sides, you can make that 17-inch plate when you're pitching well about almost 22 inches wide. And when you're pitching poorly, they all seem to end up in the middle of the plate and get hit.
Good breaking ball there. 1-2 on JJ.
Nice curveball. Starts in the strike zone, ends up as a ball. And then you got to go back to the home run. It was 2-1 fastball that he didn't quite get anywhere but inside middle, and JJ was all over it.
Well, his home run came leading off the second.
Yeah, and no doubt about it. Sailing up there probably 15 rows or whatever. And if you've been around as long as Joe Saunders, I mean, he's not that old, he's 33, but you know what the results are going to be when you're throwing 90 in the middle of the plate. And that was it.
And a good take for 2-2.
See, if you're young and you're left-handed, they're going, geez, how did he hit that pitch? Well, you've been around the block a few times, as Saunders has. You know exactly why they hit it, and you try to make some adjustments. You can see 70% fastballs. Just try to, again, make better pitches with them.
And the 2-2 has popped up near the Orioles dugout and in the Orioles dugout. That ball landed right behind Buck Showalter, and he never moved.
Oh, he's an outfielder.
And Jones, he retrieves the ball and gives it to a fan. Joe Saunders now 33 years old. He has 89 big league wins, 89 and 85. Spent last year with Seattle. Hardy to center field. Playable there for Martin. And he's got it for the out, and the inning ends. So a leadoff single and a man left. We are through 3 at Camden Yards. Babe Ruth's birthplace, 4-0 O's. Brought to you by University of Maryland, University College. June 30th, 2012, Earl Weaver's statue was unveiled here at Camden Yards in honor of the Hall of Famer's storied career with the Birds. Earl led the Orioles to 4 American League pennants, a World Series championship in 1970, and 5 seasons where the Orioles had 100 or more wins. The Earl of Baltimore passed away 7 months later on January 19, 2013, at the age of 82.
Yeah, what a great summer that was for all of us, and I mean all of us, fans and guys that had their statues out there, and Earl didn't miss any of them.
That's right, he was in all 6.
And you know, of course, we all thank the Angelos family because you wouldn't have monument or statue, whatever they call it out there, Legends Park or whatever, without them. But I think the other thing, and he said they don't want to see us around here, they don't want to see me, and Buck Showalter went out of his way, not only then, spring training, to make sure that Earl was still an integral part of this organization. And I'll never forget that. I mean, it just, and it wasn't lip service. I mean, he really felt Earl, you know, he had Earl talk to the ball club and do all those kinds of things. And I don't think I ever saw Earl happier other than when we won world championships.
You know, on Saturday when Buck and Dan did the Q&A with the season plan holders, a fan brought up Earl to Buck, and he talked about what you just said. One of his favorite times was spring training, where they would get some of the minor league coaches over, and they would sit in the room, and the coaches would ask Earl a question, and then he would go off for 20, 30, 40 minutes, and they enjoyed it. And a strike taken by Andrews, so 2-2 the count.
Yeah, they don't want to go 2-0, but it's nice to get back even. Elvis with a line drive single the first time to right field.
And he got him.
Yeah, looking for something else. And another guy, I mean, as June is ending, he came into this game at 30 for 100, so 300 hitter. And it takes right down the middle. So 2-0, 3 straight fastballs. Take a look at this one.
That is strikeout number 5 for Ubaldo. Mentioned he averages about 8 per game.
No, he can strike you out and he can walk you. He doesn't give up that many hits.
Here's Carlos Pena. Hard hit ball to first. Right there is Pierce. And a 1-pitch out and 2 men down. Prior to the game, the Orioles did in fact make a roster move, as Evan Meek, who pitched yesterday, has been sent back to AAA Norfolk, and Ramon Ramirez has been brought up from AAA. He had only been with the Tides for 5 games, but Jim, how about 1-0 and no earned runs in 8 innings pitched? So he brings a 0.00 ERA here. He also had 14 strikeouts and did not walk a batter in those 5 appearances. So Ramirez is in the bullpen and he's available if needed.
Let's go with a hot hand. Any news on the Nolan Reimold watch?
No news.
Okay. Because I know you're.
Well, Buck was asked that before the game, and he said he knows something was going on, but he wasn't sure, so he'd wait till Dan made the announcement. And we have not heard the announcement. But today was the day they had to make a decision. The injury rehab was up. Davis cuts in front of Hardy. And he gets Beltre with 3 up, 3 down inning for Ubaldo Jimenez, his second of the night. Earl Weaver in Legends Park, 4-0 O's. Schedule from routine to the most specialized eye care. LifeBridge Health's Krieger Eye Institute handles it all. Call 410-601-2020. Tonight, game one of a 4-game series with Texas. Night games follow tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday. And then the Orioles take the short flight to Boston and open up a 3-game weekend series. 4th of July, daytime baseball on Friday, and then Saturday, national television on Fox. Peeking in from the concourse. It looks like it's right by home plate plaza. And here is SCHOOP.
Yeah, and the Red Sox playing the Cubs. Jake Arrieta, who's had a great June. He's up 2-0, 4-1, 4-1 this year against Peavy, who has been run starved. Also 1-6.
So they're playing tonight?
Well, I just saw on the scoreboard. It's 2-0. 2-0
there you go.
Cubbies.
2-0 Cubbies
in Boston.
That's right. Toronto's the division team with the night off, and Jonathan Schoop has a base hit. And he is 1 out of 2. And the Orioles get the leadoff man on for the 4th consecutive inning. Don't forget, when the Orioles win, everybody wins all season long. When the Orioles win and score 5 or more runs, pizza for everybody. Get 50% off the regular menu pricing when you order online at papajohns.com. All you have to do is enter the promo code Orioles5. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's, valid at participating Baltimore area Papa John's. Caleb Joseph singled his first at-bat. It snapped an 0 for 8, and Schoop draws a throw.
Yeah, hit a little change up into center field. And, well, pizza, one more run, and you get pizza for everybody, right?
One more run. Caleb will try to deliver.
Oh, yeah, I got it. Yes, yes. I don't try to deliver. Well, I was thinking home run, and I don't want him to try to, he's
pizza,
already
deliver.
He's got 2 more than he probably thought he was going to have, so don't try to hit home runs, just hit them.
There you go. My favorite stat of the entire season involves Caleb Joseph. And it was pointed out to me by someone, and I checked it out to make sure it was correct. The Orioles are undefeated when he has an RBI. He has an RBI in 6 separate games, and they are 6-0.
I guess over the second half, we'd like to have him hit a little bit.
There you go.
Don't you think?
Get those ribbies. Team's undefeated when he drives one in. Right field, hit pretty well. Back out it is Rios, and on the warning track, he reaches up. Schoop was all the way down to second base, and he'll retreat. So he came up just short, and then one away here in the 4th inning. It's now time for all fans to tweet their photo using the hashtag #MASSonFanPhotos for a chance to have it shown in a future broadcast. All brought to you by AT&T. Perhaps she's doing that right now.
Yeah, it's amazing when you shoot. When you shoot the stands, Major League Baseball, how many people on their mobile devices, and a little bit different than when I broke in. I had walkie-talkies back then. 2 cans and a string.
Right.
What do you mean, right?
I remember.
Oh, you remember?
I was a little kid in New Jersey.
That's how Al Michaels started broadcasting. Arizona State. Our colleague, Tom Davis, went out and got a little bit of drink in the press room, and he is saying this is what, the 17th start for Mr. Jimenez. Only one time when he's still been in the game has he had more than 3 runs. So that was back on that was against the Red Sox back on the 20th of April, and then the night. Pretty good number there.
And if it was in April, he didn't win.
No, well, it's a walk-off home run, I think, or something. No, he gave up a 3-run home run and left 5-3, and then the Orioles they lost.
His job tonight is to get deep. The Orioles are intending, as MARKAKIS slaps it to left field, but it hangs for CHOO with 2 men down. TJ McFarland is penciled in. He's not with pen. He's penciled in to start tomorrow. Buck said before the game, if he needed him to win this game tonight, he would use him, and then he'd worry about tomorrow. But we're hoping Ubaldo can get deep enough in the game where TJ would not be needed, and if the Orioles could win the game, they still have 8 men in the bullpen. As Pierce will come up with Ramon Ramirez replacing Evan Meek.
Well, the good news about this bullpen is that they do have Ryan Webb can get righties and lefties out. Brock's been able to get righties and lefties out. So you have a little bit, maybe a bullpen that has the ability and not, they can match up, but they can also do a little bit better job than that.
And the closer right there in the middle, Mr. Britton.
The tallest of the bunch, sitting up, very good posture.
It's very serious.
He's already projecting.
Yes. I chatted with him this about 2 weeks ago and asked him about the transition from first starter to reliever, which he's done this year very well, and then just reliever to closer. And he said he does look at the game differently because he's learned, and he said Darren O'Day was a big help to him, projecting out when you might get in the game first as a reliever and who you might be facing. And now he knows if it's a lead and it's the 9th inning, that's his. So he watches how the hitters are doing during the game in case they come up in that inning. So he's really done a good job with the mental aspect of it.
Yeah, Dom Chidi has taken over very much, like a lot of other bullpen coaches. I mean, Elrod Henrik used to do that. Got to watch the game. You got to pay attention because you might be pitching.
Yeah, you talk about dedication. Buck revealed today that Kevin Gausman is at Aberdeen, and so is Dylan Bundy. And Dave Wallace and Dom Chidi drove up to Aberdeen today so they could be there for their bullpen sessions. That's dedication. And then report here for work for a full night. There's Dom.
And there's Dave Wallace.
2-1 on Pierce. High fly ball to left. Did he get another one? Back on it is CHOO at the wall, and that ball is gone. Have a night, Steve Pierce. A pair of 2-run homers, and it's 6-0 Orioles. And Rhonda Terrell Carroll of Forestville, another $500. She's up to $2,500 in the Maryland Lottery contestant of the game contest.
They're winning the lottery. The Pierce, little changeup. Now what a June he's having. Average came in at 358. That went up. And what happens when you get him out the last time? You got him a little upset. A really good pitch to hit and didn't miss it. There's the changeup. Wants to be down and away, and you can see it isn't. So 82, you could see him. I mean, that's how strong he is. He gets out on his front foot but stays back. One of the keys to hitting. Where are your hands?
Saunders had allowed 4 home runs total in 7 starts on the year coming into this one, and he's allowed 4 home runs in the game tonight.
Yeah, when guys are hitting well, and you could see there with Steve Pierce, there's a separation. Hands go back, front foot gets down. So when you're strong, and that bat speed, hit speed at 94.
And Nelson Cruz will take a walk. And it's the second walk, and it extends the inning with 2 down. Here's Mike Maddox out for another chat. The Orioles this month, it's gone kind of unnoticed. This team, as Jim pointed out earlier, doesn't go up there looking to walk. But after 61 walks in April, which was 29th out of 30 teams, only 1 team had less. In May, they walked 69 times. That was 27th. This month, they've now walked 76 times. So that's 14th. So they're right in the middle in MLB, which is actually progress.
Which is better, yes, for them. And them hit all the home runs. But the runner in scoring position number, because it was so good, you gave me the number, 241 in June. 266 collectively for the year. So still waiting to, and maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't, when all of a sudden everything, your pitch a little bit good, bullpen's good. Not going to steal a lot of bases because they have good team speed.
Sharply hit, knocked down by Beltre, and slings it across, but safe. The throw pulling PENA off the bag, but he saved an error by coming off the base.
Well, it's an error anyway, because the ball's hit right at him, and you root for Adam to get a base hit, but I can't believe that he would, even though the ball comes up a little bit, it's right at him, and very rarely be, somebody of Beltre's caliber do you ever not give him. I mean, see, it's hit right at him. So, I mean, it's just a routine play, and then really quick throw, but it tails. And you can see PENA. So it's a big. I understand what you're saying. The throwing error, so you don't get the runner advance for CRUZ. Yeah.
I should have said errant throw, because he did. Jim Henneman did charge him with an error.
Yeah, second error of the game.
And that gets Davis up with 2 on and 2 down. And again, he swings through it.
Well, we saw Paul O'Neill up in New York doing some broadcasting for the Yankees, batting title 5 straight years of 300, and he said the key to hitting left-handers, and he was a left-handed hitter. Mattingly told him this. Don Mattingly, is that the breaking ball you want to hit till you get to 2 strikes is the one that starts at you, not the one that starts in the middle of the plate, because it's going to be a ball. And then right there, because you're so in between stuff, and we've seen this. And again, this is what happens when you get into where your head kind of interferes with the great natural ability, and everybody knows Chris has it. Start thinking too much, and it's very simple to do: pitching, hitting, defending.
And doesn't chase that one, so a ball and 2 strikes.
Now everything, as Paul said, everything changes now, because you have to cover the outside corner, you got to cover inside. That's why, as we mentioned earlier, it's so difficult to hit with 2 strikes. But early in the count, to get to 2 strikes, you take the breaking ball, if you can see it. It starts in the middle of the plate, and most likely it's going to be a ball.
And he pulls it right into the shift, and right there is Odor, who almost dropped it. So the shift paying off, but Steve Pearce, he just hit it over the fence. He's got 2 2-run home runs. Orioles have 4 on the night and a 6-0 lead. On Masson is brought to you by PNC Bank, for the achiever in you, and by Ocean City, Maryland. Put your vacation days to good use in Ocean City, Maryland. Book now at OCOcean.com. 6-0 lead for the O's. Ubaldo Jimenez has retired 6 consecutive batters. He has 2 3-up, 3-down innings in search of his 3rd win of the year.
And as you mentioned, first in June, first here at Camden Yards. Could get a lot of firsts out of the way.
Rios takes ball 1. Martin and Chirinos will follow.
Well, you want to, obviously when you haven't gotten, not getting runs, and now you're getting them, you want to relaxes you a little bit, but you don't want to relax too much. Nothing really has to change. You just go out and make your pitches. I mean, you have a little bit of a cushion, so maybe you'll pitch a little differently. And as the game progresses, you pitch more to the scoreboard. And right now, just make your pitches, get Rios out, which he was able to do the first time. Got behind him and then threw him a kind of a drop-down curveball to get him out. So those are the numbers, home and road. Much better away. Good ball.
Strikeout number 6 and 1 away.
So Saunders again went, not that he wanted to do this, but all of a sudden maybe his hitters lose a little bit of focus being down by 6-0, and that's what starting pitching's all about. You can't always do it, and obviously tonight the case. You just want to make them think they still have a chance to win, and part of that is having quality at bats.
And Martin takes ball 1. Martin flied out to center field, his first at bat. One of the challenges for the Orioles pitchers, the starters as a staff, has been getting deep in games with any kind of consistency, pitching at least 7 innings. They've only done that 17 times in the first 81 games. And Ubaldo, Jim, has only done it twice. He went 7 1/3 May 2nd. That was his first win as an Oriole. That was in Minnesota. And then May 13th, he went 7 innings against the Tigers and pitched to a no decision.
Well, run support and pitch count. And the pitch count is how many pitches you pitch and throw per inning. He's always been one of those guys around 17. This year it's 18.5. So just count 5 times 18.5 is what, 95. And then you go by 6, you're already 110. And then again, if you're not getting runs and you're giving up runs, as he has, especially here at home, you're usually behind. So Buck Showalter has to manage accordingly. We'll see tonight. I mean, he's got a little bit of a cushion.
The team fouls it off. Count holds 3-2.
And they will peck away, and the way they can peck away is if you give them the free pass. And that's the base on balls, and that's really been the one thing that's hurt them, because that gets the pitching count up as fast as anything. And there it is, one.
It's his first of the night. So a 1-out base runner for Texas here in the 5th. Well, fans, don't forget the voting ends on Thursday for the All-Star game, and Adam Jones has tightened up the gap even more to earn a starting spot in the American League outfield. Nelson Cruz and Matt Wieters also remain in the lead at DH and catcher. So get online and vote now for Adam and the rest of the O's. Orioles.com/vote-orange. You can vote up to 35 times with each valid email address. You could earn ticket discounts and the chance to win an autographed All-Star game jersey and a meet and greet with Adam and tickets to an upcoming game. So a lot of good possibilities. So get online, Orioles.com/vote-orange. Chirinos doubled his first at bat. He takes ball 1. And ball too low. Jimenez has struck out 6. He's allowed only 2 hits. A double to Chirinos and a single by Andrews. Chirinos, 29 years old, out of Venezuela. And he hits it to right field. Markakis back on it. Nick will get there. And he's got it for the second out in the inning. Well, here's how tight the final voting spot is for the American League in the All-Star balloting. Yoenis Cespedes, Melky Cabrera, and Adam are all very, very close in the voting.
Who's in 1 and 2?
Well, let's see. It's Mike Trout and Jose Bautista.
Yeah, well, there you go. Well, either way, well, vote for Adam. But either way, trying to win the game, Mr. Jones better be on the team.
Yes. I'm sure he will be regardless, but it's a nice honor if you voted in as a starter. In particular because Nelson looks like he's going to win a DH. Matt is able to go to the game. He won't be able to play, obviously, with the Tommy John surgery, but it would be nice to have 3 voted in as starters out of the 9.
Yeah, Yu Darvish said, who will pitch Thursday night for the Rangers, says if I go, I want to go as a sightseer.
He doesn't want to pitch?
No, apparently not. That may change. You never know. There he is.
Well, they always hold back 1 just in case, so he could be the 1. There's another base hit as Odor pulls it into right field. That'll send Martin, who can fly, to third. So first and third with 2 men down.
Well, they're trying to get back in the game, and what did George Will? Well, George Will said a lot of things, but in his book, talked about pivotal times for pitchers, and one of them is in the 5th inning, and you have to qualify, get the 15 outs to qualify for a win. Men at Work, I think, was the name of that book. And this is one of those times.
Michael Choice, the number 9 batter, struck out his first at bat. Youngster just 24 years old, and he'll take low. Pierce holding the bag on Odor. And there's a strike on the corner. This is the first time in this game Texas has had 2 base runners in the same inning. And bounce to third. Davis backs up to play the hop. And the long throw is high, and it pulls Pierce off the bag. And a run scores, and Texas does get on the board.
Yeah, that's the first difficult play. And, when you don't play there, he plays it perfectly. But then you get your feet underneath him. See, he backsteps, so that's the perfect bounce. So, again, it throws off his back foot, and when you throw off your back foot, the angle's a little bit different. And I'm telling you, I think there's going to be a challenge.
Yeah, Buck
because the foot stays on there. Yeah, it did. And I think, again, at least from the angle that I saw, that foot came back on, and so he will come out there.
Las Diaz, the umpire there. And he has decided not to challenge. Yeah, he looked like he was out. Real good job of footwork there by Pierce. So that'll be an error on Davis on the throw. No RBI, but the run scores, so it's 6-1.
Yeah, but it gets CHOO up, and just kind of gets the lineup up, and right there, pretty good splitter right there. So you need an out.
Odor stopped at second. He was first and second, and 2 men down.
And we've seen the Orioles be in these positions, and you just peck away. Obviously, you'd like a home run, but.
And Jonathan Scope with a nice play flips to Hardy, and that ends the inning. So an unearned run as Texas gets on the board. We'll head to the bottom of the 5th. 6-1 O's. And a 6-1 Orioles lead, and welcome into our broadcast booth. Jim Hunter with Jim Palmer, and one of those nights where Ubaldo gets some support. How about 4 home runs and a 2 home run night for Steve Pierce?
Well, our Tom Davis stat is okay. 17 starts. One time he's gotten over 5 runs, and they got him and the rest are 3. So they get him 4 runs in the first 2 innings. He's pitched better. He's pitched better his last 3 starts. That's what you want to see. I mean, 4-year investment. He has been struggling. Hadn't won in April. Hasn't won in June. Hasn't won here at home. And has a chance to do that tonight, and the Orioles do what they do so well. They hit the long ball. 3 home runs already.
Right, and this is a big game for the Orioles after that loss yesterday. As Delmon Young will lead off for the Birds. foul back.
Well, if you're Tampa Bay and you're the Red Sox and you're the Yankees in Toronto and you're all in the American League East, I think a lot of people realize the Orioles are a pretty good ball club, but sooner or later you have to have some winning streaks. And if you don't, the guys behind you catch up, and the ones behind you either get hot like Toronto did early, or maybe not.
There's Ramirez, who was just called up from AAA. He has joined his mates. And DELMON waves at it. He's down on strikes. So there's the first time tonight that Saunders has retired the leadoff man in an inning.
Yeah, almost at 100 pitches right here, and certainly not having a good night. Little breaking ball that starts off the plate and stays there, and DELMON out on the front foot. So no white flag from Joe Saunders. I've never seen him do that. It's just Orioles have taken advantage of some situations where he's made some mistakes and they made him pay.
Now, my memory is correct. Didn't Joe Saunders wear number 48 when he was with the Orioles?
I'm going to leave that up to your memory. I don't really know. I mean, I can find that out.
Ramirez shows up, and he's issued number 48 on a night where Joe Saunders is pitching against his former team.
Okay, let's see here.
And we have it confirmed. He did wear number 48 as an Oriole. Kevin's quicker.
I thought they forgot about him.
2-2 is outside. Ball 3 on J.J. Hardy. I'm just fascinated by uniform numbers. Why guys wear them? Are they given numbers, or did they seek it out?
Well, mine was given to me. I had Jack Fisher's. And when you get to the big leagues in 19, you take any number they give you.
J.J. Hardy has a base hit, and he has a 2-hit game. Time now for our PNC minor league report, brought to you by PNC Bank for the achiever in you. And how about the year John Keller is having at Delmarva? The pitching staff down there for Ryan Miner and Alan Mills, fabulous. He had a hold yesterday. Hunter Harvey won this game. 2 2/3, no hits, no runs, no walks at 3 Ks. And Jim, look at those numbers for the year. Just outstanding numbers.
Well, you always look at base on balls, and that usually tells you what kind of control. You look at strikeouts per innings. A lot of strikeouts. I was talking to a long time scout Dean Albany, and he was down there. So
Jonathan Schoop to right field. Back out at Rios, and it's off the wall and in play. Hardy heads to third. He'll be held there by Bobby Dickerson, and Jonathan Schoop has a double.
Yeah, back-to-back base hits for Jonathan. Yeah, Joe Saunders just really trying to keep from going under here in the 5th. Nobody up in their bullpen because, again, this is where he likes. I mean, you talk about young hitters. What is your hot spot? It's out over the plate. He gets it early in the count, doesn't overswing, uses the whole field. That's 2 bases hit. It's now back up the middle into right field. Certainly a good approach for a young hitter that's had a little bit of a struggle here in June. But as Buck Showalter said, it certainly hasn't affected his defense. Superlative defender at second base.
And here is Caleb Joseph.
Infield in too, Jim. That's what happens when you got a 5-run lead.
Ball 1 inside.
So patience. The guy that's in trouble is Joe Saunders. 98. That's actually 4 miles per hour off the bat more than the Pierce home run. Just went the other way.
He needed 99 to get it out. Just
you're right. And a little more elevation. A little more of the Ted Williams 6-degree upswing. How about him telling us that one year? Worked for Ted.
He didn't tell me.
No, he told all the hitters in spring training. All year, Davey Johnson was trying to think, oh, is my swing 6%? We paid now 5.5, 8. What is a 6-degree upswing? But as again, that was the kind of the arc of the bat, and that's what Joseph's Caleb trying to do, trying to get a ball up into the air here. Fair.
He did, but foul.
Fair.
Right-hander Sean Tollison now getting loose. First activity of the night for Texas. So Saunders has allowed 6 runs on 9 hits, and he's got 2 in scoring position with 1 down. RBI chance here for Caleb Joseph. Caleb is 1 out of 2. He singled in the second, flied out in the fourth. And the 1-2 is outside. Good take, 2-2.
Yeah, a little backdoor breaking ball trying to get the rookie to chase, and he didn't.
Joe Saunders pitches, averaging 95.4. He's at 108, just 2 off his season high. While Washington looking on from the Texas bench. And foul back on the screen. Caleb has 7 RBIs on the year.
Yeah, he'd love to do what he did the last time, which is he hit a really deep fly ball to center, except you got a pitcher with a strike to work with that's trying to get him to hit one on the ground. Coming in, and this hasn't been the case tonight, 63 ground balls, 35 in the air. The Orioles already with 3 home runs.
Right field, deep enough maybe. Rios has it. Here comes Hardy towards the plate. Here's the throw, not in time. And JJ slides in.
Nice
Caleb does get in the air.
Really nice at bat. I mean, Saunders is trying to strike him out. He finally gets the ball in the approach. You hit the ball the other way. It's not an at bat. It's an RBI. That means they're going to win.
Yep.
And then Rios catches his ball and then bobbles it a little bit. So Line Beebe, he's really got a good arm. See right there, he couldn't quite make the transfer quickly enough, and I'm not sure it would have made a whole lot of difference. So J.J. Hardy with the run scored. The Orioles get their 7th run, 6-run lead now again.
And Scope moves up to third. Alert base running by Jonathan. Markakis now walked and scored in the first, reached on an error, and has flied out. So he is 0 for 2. Now 7 the 1-0s. And a strike at the knees.
You would imagine if he's not able to get the lefty versus lefty out, then Tollison will come in to face Pearsall, who's already hit 2 home runs tonight.
And this one a little low. Looked like a pretty good pitch.
And again, it's not about velocity. I mean, Joe Saunders still 90 to 92. It's just location tonight. Really done him in. Boy, that's a key pivotal out. 350 on a 1-1 count. Good take there. Slider just off the corner. Now you get to hit in your count, 2-1. Big difference. One of the key counts in baseball. If you get ahead, the numbers go down dramatically. If you get to the 2-1 counts, there's Pierce waiting on deck.
Ground ball weakly at the third. Beltre is right there. And fires to get Nick, and that ends the inning. But the Orioles do add a run. They get that run back. We'll head to the 6th with the Orioles in front.
A barrage of home runs. Steve Pearce, the first one, home run number 8. A big strikeout of Michael Choice, and look at this pitch. Jimenez right on the inside corner to get CHOO out to get out of the inning. And then Pearce with another home run, his 9th of the year. 8-9. Jones with a home run. Hardy with a home run. Orioles playing long ball tonight. Those are your Geico game highlights. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Saunders did finish the 5th. Obviously, the home runs hurt him. Jimenez looking for his first win here in Camden Yards. Not getting a lot of runs until tonight.
7-1 lead. Tough night for Joe. 4 home runs, driving in 6 of those 7 runs. And Ubaldo gets ahead of Elvis Andrus. Pena and Beltre will follow. This is a big game for the Orioles, Jim, in the sense that very disappointed dropping 3 of 4 against Tampa Bay over the weekend. In particular, how they lost yesterday. You want to bounce back and feel good about it and try to get this series. And you know Darvish pitches the final game, and he's been pitching lights out. So you needed to get off to a good start in the series, and up to this point, the O's have.
Yeah, I think they're a pretty resilient club, and the reason I say that, 93 wins 2 years ago, 85 after, 14 losing years. So you can look back at that series against the Rays. I mean, the Rays, they're never going to surrender. I mean, they're not putting a white flag up, regardless of what their record is. Nice pitch by Jimenez, and Pearce makes the out. So you know they were going to come in here. They were playing a little bit better. Yeah, they weren't playing well on the road. But at the end of the day, you know Texas has been scuffling. They're not at full strength. So these are opportunities, and you better take advantage of them. And doesn't mean it's going to be automatic. Ron Washington does not like to lose. He made that fully clear in the paper to me today. He was a gamer when he played. So, and he's done a great job down there. But they're wounded, and you might as well take advantage of it when you can.
Texas has lost 5 in a row on the road, although they actually have a better winning percentage on the road than they do at home.
Yeah, that's not being able to be ahead again tells you. I mean, you lose Fielder. If he was healthy, you're going to figure in that ballpark can at least hit 30 home runs, and he plays every day. Had Mitch Moreland had 23 home runs, he would have found a place somewhere in the lineup. And then you lose Harrison, and you lose Holland. He's had the microfracture surgery. Colby Lewis is actually back now, pitching well. Pitched well yesterday, but didn't get him a lot of runs. They lose 3-2 to the Twins.
Well, when the Orioles were in Texas, Ogando and Sheppers were both in the bullpen. Now they're both on the DL.
Yeah.
1-1 the count on Pena, playing in his 7th game. Tried to time it, shallow right center field. Here comes Jones, and Adam makes the running pitch.
Yeah, Scope is scurrying out. Well, maybe more than a scurry at his size. Thundering out there to make the play. And again, you have to know your guys and their capabilities. So yeah, the Orioles don't steal a lot of bases, but they can cover some ground. And a perfect example: hanging breaking ball, little looper, good chance to fall. You could see him; he's looking right there, but he's looking around. And what Buck Showalter was saying yesterday on the relay play where they throw out Zobrist in the first inning at third, everybody says, he was saying, yeah, you communicate whatever. He says on relay plays, you don't hear each other. You have to have a good innate sense of the game. This kid has it, especially defensively, and he's going to learn how to hit.
Yeah, he didn't hesitate to throw to third to get Zobrist, and what an arm from the opposite foul line.
A bazooka. But he already had taken the look. So he knew he wasn't going to get Jennings at home with great speed, and he had a chance to get Zobrist.
Well, the thing about Jonathan, you like the work ethic. Works very hard with Bobby Dickerson, fine-tuning his fielding. Yes, he does have 8 errors on the year, but 4 came in the first 14 games of the year.
And third base. He played third. Remember that?
Yep.
A lot of them came over there.
So he has just 4 errors since. And here we're in game 82.
Well, they talk about the 2-out shortstop where everybody runs when balls hit to the shortstop with 2 outs, everybody runs off the field. When you're going to turn a double play, he's going to turn it.
This ball's hit to the gap. Adam Jones on the run, Markakis on the run. They're not going to get there, and it bounces into the stands for a ground rule double for Beltre. So Beltre gets on with 2 men down. Well, next Wednesday, July 9th, when the Orioles host the Nationals, all fans will receive a special Nick Markakis Orioles t-shirt. Now, don't miss this unique design as you see there. A silhouette of Nick made up of words shared by his teammates on what the veteran outfielder means to them. So come on out and show your Birdland pride in the Battle of the Beltways. Get your tickets at Orioles.com or call 888-848-BIRD. Here's Mr. Markakis.
Mr. Nick.
The plate umpire got some new baseballs from the ball.
Yeah, but he went out a little talk, and I have no idea what it was about. Maybe, in fact, it was the ground rule double.
Maybe he wanted to check the baseball that Beltre. No, that ball bounced in the stands.
Yeah.
I don't know what Mr. Nelson wants. Tough night for Alex. 0 for 2 with a couple of punch-outs.
A little redemption here, though, trying to get him their second run.
Ubaldo 3-2 in his career against Texas, and 8-8 against the AL West. And a bouncer to third, played there by Davis. He throws across to get Rios, and the inning ends. A 2-out double, a man left. We'll head to the bottom of the 6th. Birds come up ahead by 6. Tomorrow it is game 2 in this 4-game series, which wraps up the homestand as the Orioles take on the Rangers. Nick Martinez will be on the mound for Texas. We think T.J. McFarland will be on the mound for the Orioles, but that is to be determined. Our coverage on MASN begins at 6:30 with O's Extra presented by Geico, and then game coverage at 7 o'clock. We've got all the access you need right here on MASN. 7-1 game. The Orioles with 6 runs, all 4 home runs, and the night is done for Joe Saunders. Here is Sean Tollison.
Yeah, last year with the Dodgers, all kinds of back problems, herniated disc problems, so they got him on waivers in November, trying to upgrade their pitching staff. Done a pretty good job for him. 4-pitch pitcher. And solo home run, first pitch back on Wednesday. That was against the Tigers. And then it pitched pretty well, retired 12 of the last 15 over 3 games. So an opportunity here just to try to keep the scoreboard where it is. And he'll face a guy coming to the plate 2 for 3 with 2 dingers.
Pierce now with 9 home runs, 25 RBIs. He got the Orioles on the board in the first, and 2 add-on runs in the 4th. Fastball outside 1-0, and this will certainly be a different look with the fastball coming in there at 91. Also from a right-hander versus Saunders, the left-hander.
Yeah, a little cut fastball that just misses. Another one of those home run counts if you leave one in the middle of the plate. The way Pierce attacks the ball. Good fastball got him.
Called off by the center fielder Martin is Andrus. And one away, and as promised earlier in the game, here's our AT&T's fan photo. The family at the game, right behind the screen. All right, now my question is, how did they get the camera on the field to take the picture through the screen?
Well, it looks like they're, but part of the people, 2 were behind the screen and 2 were in front. Was I wrong there?
I think they were all behind the screen.
No, I thought 2 were on the field and 2 were behind.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's even more impressive.
That is. So somebody got on the field and the other 2 didn't. Cruz to Andrews.
Must know somebody.
And 2 quick outs. Well, our Alexis of Towson drive of the game. Adam Jones coming up.
There it is, 9th home run of the month of June. A little breaking ball, then the hit speed, 93 miles per hour.
The drive of the game brought to you by Lexus of Towson, the area's #1 Lexus dealer. Come see why at lexusoftowson.com. So Mr. Jones with a couple of hits here tonight. His 30th multi-hit game now has 103 base hits.
Yeah, Jonesy was talking about, I don't know why guys get upset. When you make outs, you make outs. Just play hard, be throwing stuff, all that. He was holding court early on today.
It's very entertaining when you go to the Orioles clubhouse and he's just hanging by his locker. He'll talk.
He was out actually in the humidity. He was trying to get ready, to acclimate himself for game time. Probably, I would imagine, if as hot as it's going to be tomorrow, where it could be what, 90,
94, 95.
Yep.
Good hitting weather.
Well, tonight's obviously, at least for the Orioles, been good hitting weather.
Jones gets ahead 2-0. And then that got a piece of the catcher, Chirinos.
Well, we have seen this the last 3-4 games. In fact, you see it all the time. Maybe almost dead center. And, you have to understand about 3 years ago, missed a whole year with concussion when he was catching for Tampa. So obviously, this is not the first time, and got to be very, very concerned.
He's talking to the trainer saying he's okay.
Yeah, he came through Tampa Bay. At least he was playing for the Rays, and I just remember, and I kept asking him all year long, and he said, concussion-like symptoms, so they will check him.
So the trainer putting him through the protocol there.
Yeah, the entire season of 2012. And it all started in spring training.
Lost some paint off his helmet.
I certainly hope he's all right.
He's checking his equipment now. Adam talking to him.
You can tell he was a pretty good prospect, because when Matt Garza went over to the Cubs, he was one of the guys they got, and then he never really got much of a chance with a concussion. Missed a whole year.
Defensively, he's as good as they got. And he found his batting stroke here in the month of June, so he's getting more of the starts behind the plate. The other catcher is Chris Jimenez. Giovanni Soto is on the DL. He would be their #1. And it's inside.
A little purpose pitch. Open up the outside corner. Great way to pitch in where you get the effect of moving feet and not hit people.
Texas has used the DL 20 times this year. Some players have come back, some are out for the year. And the 3-2 is outside, ball 4, a 2-out walk. Prince Fielder out for the year. Now Moreland is out for the year.
Matt Harrison, who won 18 games a couple of years out for the year. Derek Collins simulated game, another left-handed starter, but Mike Maddox, the pitching coach, said that with the microfracture, still not ready to field his position and whatever. He wants to get I think a simulated game, 67 pitches, wants to go out for rehab, but they're going to back him off. Don't want to get him hurt.
Well, speed pitch in there for a strike to Davis.
Yeah, the other thing is guys are they're pulling out their whole arsenal against Chris. That's what 53 home runs and 138 RBIs will do. The target is right on your back. That's how good a year he had. And then the year before, too, with 33 home runs.
Yeah, good eye there, 2-0.
I tell you, Jeff Nelson, with the exception, and we saw it up in New York when Gardner led off with a triple and overslid third, and they could have had a run in the first inning, and then Tillman pitched great. He's had a nice, only the CHOO walk, that he called CHOO out to open up the game. There's another great changeup, a good one. And obviously, when you put 7 runs on the board, it probably wouldn't have made anything, but it does give them possible lead. There's the change.
The other thing he's done, there have been some unusual plays in this game, and he's got 2 young umpires on this crew, Toby Rasner and Scott Barry. And between innings, he's been talking to the umpires. Of course, Laz Diaz at first is a veteran, but he's got a couple of young umpires on his crew here. Basner had that play at second base that Ron Washington asked to have it looked at, and he won the challenge. 2-2. The other thing that I like what he's done here is when there have been things going on the field, he's talked to both managers about what he was discussing with his umpires. There was something on the BELTRE or the scope double, and then after BELTRE's double, after that half inning ended, he brought all the umpires together again. So it's his crew, so he's got to set the tone. Scott Barry at third, the young Toby Basner at second, and the veteran Laz Diaz at first. Fouls it off the other way.
Yeah, that's what the changeup does. And for Chris, he's just trying to get something in the middle of the plate. So hard, soft, hard.
And another foul. And this would be the 8th pitch now coming to Chris Davis in this at bat. Collison got ahead, having trouble putting him away with Jones on first and 2 men down. And he got him. Got the breaking ball, and Davis swings through it. So Chris is 0 for 4. Led to the 7th with the Birds in front. base tonight.
Well, there's never been any doubt about his agility, whether he played first, whether he played the outfield, whether he pitched. So again, I mean, they're pretty routine plays, but you have to understand. I mean, he hadn't really been playing third. I mean, this is the one play, just kind of gets on his back foot. Questionable whether Pierce got his foot back. They don't challenge it, so they get their run on the error. But again, he's not going to really hurt you over there. And everybody thought he was going to be a good third baseman. You talk to all the Texas people when they traded for him, it wasn't about the fielding or whatever. So for a big guy, I mean, he's a terrific athlete. And it shows to go across the diamond, and it's, you know, the angles are so much different when you play third, and especially there are no angles at first unless you're making a throw to second. And he's always been gifted doing that.
Strike one to Leonis Martin. Chirinos and Odor will follow. Martin walked and scored the run. It was an unearned run. It came on that throwing error by Davis.
Yeah, good breaking ball. Well, everything better, and everything has been better except the run support and, you know, the timing. A lot of times, it, you know, that adage in baseball, it's not how you pitch, it's when you pitch. It's kind of a combination to be there at the right time and then also pitch well. Yeah, there you go.
3-pitch strikeout.
So you like to think, we always talk about life lessons. That's a pitching lesson. Get ahead and then get a young hitter, even though he played most of last year for him, just to go right up the ladder. The art of pitching. Right there. Good location, the good count, trying to reach for it, couldn't come up with it.
Well, this is the 5th time now that he has struck out at least 7 in a game. He's got 7 now. His season high is 10 Ks in his first Orioles win on May the 2nd in Minnesota. And strike one to Chirinos.
Well, there's another term in baseball, a guy that nibbles. You know, always around the corner, nibbling at the corners and all that. Joe Saunders a little bit that way. We decided a big chunk of cheese tonight out there so they both can kind of nibble. Well, nibblers, I mean, again, his stuff is not that bad. Yeah, Ben Rowan getting up and getting loose to Submariner. Side armor.
I think he's asking Darren O'Day for tips. And the 0-2 is hit towards short. And Hardy gets it to first, and 2 quick outs. So 2 away here in the 7th inning. Well, the Orioles will host the American League East rival Yankees in a pivotal 3-game series. It's a weekend series beginning next Friday, July 11th at Oriole Park. Tickets are going fast, so don't miss out on an exciting weekend in Birdland. Plus, for each game, fans are encouraged to bring any non-perishable food item and cash donation to the park, all to benefit the Maryland Food Bank as part of the annual Oriole Reach Food and Funds Drive. So for your tickets, Orioles.com or just call 888-848-BIRD. And that is always a very successful event for the Maryland Food Bank.
A nice little schedule coming up. Orioles going to Boston, and then you always have the I-95 rivalry.
The Nationals
who are playing well. Matt Williams, the new manager. I don't know. Bryce Harper may be back.
He's back tonight.
Oh, is he? Yeah, because he hit, I guess, 3 home runs and 5 RBIs in rehab.
In fact, he has an RBI single.
You know all.
Well, he might have more now. It's 6-2 in the 7th. Yeah, the pitching in the Carolina League was not holding him back.
You're like the mighty Kreskin. You just, these things come to your mind. How guys are doing, all these stats. Because I know you don't do any work, any homework. You're just at the gym. Yeah, out training for next year's Boston Marathon.
I should be at the gym more.
And the marathon training you'll be doing.
And a foul straight down at the plate to stay alive. I'll be there tomorrow.
Where?
The gym.
Oh, okay.
I have an appointment. Big day tomorrow. Gym and a haircut. Big day. And it's in the dirt for ball 3.
Now let's see the pitch count. A little splitter there at 83. So pitch count at 104. So you get an idea, 18.5, maybe a little bit lower than that tonight. He's always going to be a high pitch count guy.
And a foul back. Now that was pitch 105, which averages out to exactly 15 per inning. So he'll go just slightly above that. Dave Wallace has to love what he's seeing.
Oh yeah. Well, you didn't love what I saw when Adam Jones, I was talking to him on the bench. You know, the Orioles didn't pitch well yesterday. I put his arm around him. I said, I'm kind of going with the hitters today. Call me Benedict Jim.
Jimenez gets to the bag ahead of Rougned Odor and a 3-up, 3-down inning. Orioles due up, brought to you by Mazda. It'll be Delmon Young, J.J. Hardy, and Jonathan Schoop. Telecast is presented by authority of the Orioles and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Orioles. Now back at Camden Yards as the Orioles enjoy a 7-1 lead as we go to the bottom of the 7th inning. As we look down from high behind home plate, here is the submariner Ben Rowan.
Yeah, well, he hadn't have to prove anything in the minor leagues. I mean, you know, he was their minor league pitcher of the year last year. And how about this? 19-5 with a 146, 1.46 runs the whip. That's walks and hits per innings under 1. And that was 159 appearances. So 1 run in his 5 outings. So he comes in, and you can see he looks like a tall guy, 6'4", and out of Rancho Palos Verdes, California. And he lives up in New York, Williamsville, New York.
Now, he also went to Virginia Tech, which is where Joe Saunders went to college. I wonder how a youngster from California ends up in New York State.
I don't know. Went with his family, probably via the automobile.
Plane ticket.
Plane ticket, you know. Like my stepson, Indiana Jones, Spencer, who knows everything in the world about trains. He probably took the train.
Get on the train. Yeah. Nice ride across country.
He might have even taken the Trans-Canadian one for a little better scenery. You never know.
Delmon Young, the left center field. They weren't playing him that way, so he's going to have a base hit.
Yeah, he can hit line drives, and you know, tonight, I mean, they've actually been able to get him out a little bit, but boy, when he pinch hit the last couple of times, I was talking about it. You know, they're playing Wimbledon when, and here's what we were talking about, a little bit of Darren O'Day. So you're 6'4", don't scrape the knuckles. So spine angle. That's when you remember when Rick Peterson, when he had Charles Bradford, first name, pitch for us.
Chad.
Chad Bradford, yeah. And he said, all you do is bend at the waist. I mean, think about it. I mean, if you're upright and throwing overhand, your arm's up. If you bend at the waist, the arm drops. And that's spine angle, very important in golf, hitting and pitching. Let them bend at the waist. That's what Darren Day always talks about. Still have to keep at least Darren says, at least, mechanics, your front shoulder is kind of your steering wheel. Even when you're a submariner, you have to stay closed till the point where you can actually locate home plate.
Hardy down 0-2. That one weaves outside.
And of course, Darren O'Day, I mean, he had some marvelous years for the Rangers. I mean, back-to-back years before he hurt his hip at ERA, right around 2 runs a game, 60-some games.
Foul tip. Hardy stays alive.
Of course, his hip injury is the reason that the Orioles have Tommy Hunter and Chris Davis, because they needed bullpen help, and they made the Koji Uehara trade in 2011.
1-2 on Hardy with Delmon Young at first. Delmon extending his hitting streak to 8 straight with that single. And that's pretty impressive when you consider a lot of those hits to extend the hitting streak with pinch hits.
Oh, yeah. Rockets.
Two and two on JJ. Ball 3.
Good take. Yeah, he tops out, and his average fastball, we've seen 80 tonight, is 79.4. And then the curveball at 73, slider 78. Mike Maddox was not a submariner when he pitched. His brother getting into the Hall of Fame, and congratulating him. It's kind of a family thing.
And a bouncer foul to stay alive. The Orioles will have a winning month of June. They'll either be 4 above in the month if they hold on here to go 16-12. They played 500 ball in April, 500 ball in May.
Yeah, you need a springboard, don't you?
Yeah. And this would be the springboard. You hope. They really want to play well going into the break. And as Jim mentioned, the schedule is challenging, and there's ball 4. For the first 2 reach here in the 7th against Rowan. First and second, and nobody down. Fans, you can back your birds during the second half of the season and enjoy major league savings by reserving your Birdland Summer 6-pack. You get a ticket to any 6 games of your choice for the rest of the year, and savings of up to 20% off the cost of the single game tickets. Lock in your seats now for the most anticipated games and promotions of the summer and save. For all the details, just get online at Orioles.com/6-pack or call 888-848-BIRD. So Mike Maddox out for a chat with Ben Rowan. Young to second, Hardy to first.
How about Rowan? We get some of his in the press guide. He was actually a defenseman for the Los Angeles Junior Kings hockey team.
Wow, that's a big defenseman.
Well, that's why he throws down. He's kind of like the slap shot. Yeah. Well, defensemen, they don't shoot that much, I guess.
No, they just try to prevent you from getting to their goalie. So he might have been on the Stanley Cup champs if he pursued that. Schoop is 2 for 3. And he'll take a strike. Jonathan now with 9 multi-hit games on the year. He came in 3 for 18 on the homestand, so 2 for 3 on the night. A little bit high, 1-1.
They're trying to figure out this release point. A little bit lower than you used to.
Time that one. 1-2 the count on Jonathan.
And then whacked it. Boy, does he swing hard. In fact, sometimes he maybe overswings a little bit. And it gets better. It gets better when he gets the 2 strikes because he's learned to hit some breaking balls, and it also gets better when he gets runners in scoring position because He's what, about 37 points higher. I think he uses more of the whole field like he did the first 2 times up tonight.
The Orioles on the homestand coming into this game batted just .179 with runners in scoring position. And they've gone 3-4 in the first 7 games, having lost the last 2 and 3 of the last 4. They did win the series from Chicago, took 2 out of 3. And Jonathan fouls it back to stay alive, but then dropped 3 out of 4 to the Rays.
But as you know, it was the late inning antics, the Davis walk-off home run, the grand slam by CRUZ that allowed him to win 2 of those 3 games against the White Sox. Not a good combination when you're not hitting well in the clutch, and then starters had some bad games or got outpitched on a couple of occasions.
This is some at bat by SCHOOP.
Well, you got to let the ball travel, and you got to try to do it on a guy that's throwing the ball just above the dirt.
The count holding 2-2. And he chased one.
Yeah, you really got to. I mean, look at the dynamics of somebody like Ben Rowan or Chad Bradford, even Darren O'Day is, because if you go back and here's a breaking ball, the illusion is going to be close to the plate and it's well outside. But in the book Moneyball, Chad Bradford, I mean, it all started when he was in high school, and his coach said, "Hey, I admire that you're trying to come out and make the team, but you're not going to do it overhand." And that's when he used to throw between the bushes off the side of the foundation of his house, and he dropped down and ended up pitching the big leagues. And the whole thing was Billy Beane was just looking for somebody. He was looking at, as hitters, guys that hit home runs, high on base percentage, didn't struck out. He didn't care about that, but he was looking for somebody that he could count on throwing ground balls, and that became Chad Bradford.
1-0 on Caleb Joseph. Good location there, down and in, 1-1. Caleb is 1 for 2. He's also got an RBI with a sac fly. Bouncer towards the hole. Andrews second out there and back to first for a double play. 6-4-3 to retire the O's. A hit, a walk, 1 left. We'll head to the 8th. 7-1 game. Game, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite, and it's been all about this young man.
Yeah, 7 strikeouts, trying to win for the first time in June. First time just one of the 7 strikeouts, but after the double, the Rangers trying to get back in the game, 3rd inning, he would strike out Choice. I mean, 3-2 pitch, drops down a little bit, inside corner. Michael Choice trying to stay alive, and then right after that, SHIN-SOO takes a strike on the inside corner, so a couple of strikeouts to get out of the third, and then the Orioles had some more runs. So there is the pitch count, and they will have some action in the bullpen behind him. Ryan Webb got the day off yesterday, almost got in that game, but didn't have to.
Here's Michael Choice leading off. He is 0 for 2, did reach on an error. Ubaldo's season high is 7 1/3. So he'll need to get 2 outs here to set a new season high. And again, that was in that fabulous game he pitched in Minnesota on May the 2nd. Ball 2.
No, I think the pitch count where, again, if you're Buck Showalter, you got a guy that's really been pitching well in Ryan Webb. So you're not going to let the pitch count get up. And I'm sure he would be thrilled, or is Ryan, probably loose by now. If Ubaldo could come back and throw some strikes, and that's 3 straight balls. There's just no reason to leave him out there.
Right.
I mean, you're looking to get 6 outs before they get 6 runs. There's a strike.
Well, and he did exactly what Buck needed him to do tonight because of the TBA tomorrow with the starter and the hope that TJ McFarland could start. He needed Ubaldo to get deep in the game, and he's done that.
His hitters really helped him out.
Right center field, Adam Jones will get there. And one away, so there's 7 1/3 for Ubaldo.
Well, when I was talking to Ubaldo in spring training, and he had a little, I think part of maybe the April problems, he's never pitched well, but again, because he didn't know where he was going, ultimately he ends up signing a 4-year deal with the Orioles for a lot of money. Is that, maybe the throwing not as much, but he said the key, and going into September last year with Cleveland, who won 92 games and did get into postseason, he went 4-0 in September, and he said the key was fastball command. And tonight it's been a combination of both, but there's a really good fastball. It starts off the plate, runs back. So for him to get back to where he was last year, 32 starts, 27 times, 3 runs or less, it's going to be about the fastball.
Bounce to the first. Funny, in between Hop to Pierce plays and 2 men down.
See, and then he throws strike 1 with a fastball, and then he throws a great splitter. Yeah, it's 7-1, and maybe their focus is not the same, but your business is to get outs. You don't really care about all the dynamics of what they're thinking. I'm not even sure that's the case, but you get ahead, you make your pitches, and it's a good one, and then all of a sudden you got yourself some outs.
Out distribution tonight, 10 on the ground, 5 in the air, and 7 Ks. And Chris Davis and Caleb Joseph go out so Ubaldo can catch his breath after covering at first base on this hot night. Well, there are the pitches breakdown. 101.8 average, season high 118, 113 tonight. And he's now at a season high 7 2/3 innings, his longest outing of the year. And a little high, 2-0. Here's Scott Baker in the Texas bullpen. It looks like Ron Washington is using tonight to get some work for some of his pitchers. Andrus is 1 out of 3, singled in the first, but then was caught trying to steal on a perfect throw and a better tag by J.J. Hardy. Caleb Joseph put it right to his glove. Shallow center, Jones is right there, and Ubaldo Jimenez is through 8 innings. What a night for Ubaldo Jimenez, who's getting a big ovation as he heads to the Orioles bench. Game suspension was upheld by Major League Baseball for the incident against the Athletics earlier this month. So the appeal was heard. He began serving that suspension tonight. He can return Saturday in the middle game of 3 at Boston. And prior to the game today, Buck Showalter was asked if he was surprised that 5-game suspension was upheld and Manny's suspension was not reduced.
It is what it is. You know, we not going to dwell on it. And you understand the rules and why things are in place for different reasons, and you react accordingly. You know, the repercussions for all actions, not only in baseball but in life in general. So, you know, hopefully there'll be some positive come out of it where Manny's concerned in the future, and for all players.
Yeah, the all players is obviously you play one man short. One of your best players who was just heating up, having a terrific month of June. And Buck was very complimentary of Dan Duquette. He said he thought he presented a very good case, and he doesn't understand why it wasn't reduced, but it wasn't. So you do have to move on. And tonight they've moved on. Scott Baker comes on. He's had some great years. Tommy John surgery 2012 last year with the Cubs, released by the Mariners. Now at the back end of their bullpen. Always been able to get hitters out.
Well, Ubaldo on the bench after 8 strong innings and unearned run. Buck gives him congratulations.
Yeah, a little slap in the face. God, there you go. Well, it's got to be a big moment.
Does Tillman do the dance? No, just Miguel.
Well, they'll dance to this tune because 7-1. Pitching well, winning for the first time in June, even though he's pitched well enough to win. They support him. He pitches well. He had it all going tonight to this point.
And there is the newest Oriole, Ramon Ramirez, who was just called up from AAA Norfolk today. 5 outstanding games with the Tide since coming to the O's. And looks like he may get his Orioles debut out of the way. And Markakis pops it up. Beltre has a play in foul ground. And Markakis retired, 1 out here in the 8th. You know, the one thing about the Manny suspension, why the Orioles privately are a bit upset that it wasn't reduced, is it was explained that he got 4 games for throwing the bat and another game for the incident at third base, the first game of that series, when he threw his helmet a little bit. And from the Orioles' perspective, that play should not have factored in because it had nothing to do with the bat throwing incident. And then the secondary part of it was Fernando Abad, who threw twice at Manny in the at-bat at which he eventually threw his bat, which he shouldn't have done. We all know that. But Abad was not suspended at all.
Well,
so there's a little inequity in the justice.
I saw Doug DeCinces throw his bat at the pitcher when he tried to drill him. At least throw it at the guy that's trying to hit you who didn't even get suspended. And I think that's the point.
Yeah.
You know, and after the first time, considering what had gone on, the umpire, and I don't remember who it was that day, I was just watching, should have thrown out Abad. That's all. Simple as that. Didn't. So again, that doesn't all mix up, but hey, should never have done it. Never should have done what he did with Donaldson. You know, I
don't think you'll ever see it again.
No, and you got to remember, because I think we look at Manny as being kind of a man child, but he's only 21. So I have no idea what was going on in his mind when the tag played to react the way he did, but he did. And Bob Melvin's a pretty fair guy. He was here 3 years, class guy. You know, he's done a terrific job out in Oakland. He said, listen, I could understand if Manny wasn't trying to get out of the way, and Donaldson went out of his way to slam him with the glove, but he's trying to backpedal. So he just thought it was part of the game, and obviously Manny didn't, and kind of escalated to where it got.
1-2 to Pierce is outside. Steve's had a big night, 2 for 4, and the 2, a pair of 2-run homers. Facing Baker, who is the 4th pitcher for the Rangers tonight. Joe Saunders, the former Orioles, 7 earned runs in 5 innings. And the O's with a 7-1 lead here in the 8th. And Pierce now has a 3-game hitting streak. He's 8 for 28 on the homestand. He's going to be very upset tomorrow when he has to turn his calendar on his refrigerator to July.
Not if he gets fastballs in the middle of the plate, is it?
He is 26 for 71 in June. That's a 366 month. Right center field, chasing Rios back. And on the warning track, he makes the catch. Even his outs are loud.
Yeah. Well, you pitch, if you walk into a ballpark, where do you want to pitch? Center field. And Pierce is going to get a nice little ovation from the stands with a couple of home runs. And the other thing, do I want him to pull the ball? Or I want to hit it the other way. It's not that guys haven't had tremendous power to the opposite field, but most players hit the ball farther to the pull field. CRUZ could be a guy that hits it far everywhere. And what we've seen this year and what we saw when he was a Ranger.
Nelson Cruz to right field, and it hangs up there for Rios. So 3 up, 3 down go the O's in the 8th. Here we go to the 9th. The Birds 3 outs away from a win. Orioles baseball on Masson is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Find Southwest Airlines fares online only at southwest.com. And by Chapin Davis, providing investments that can produce income from your retirement plan. Call to learn more, 800-222-3246 or at chapindavis.com.
And Ubaldo really pitches well. Again, trying to the first for the Orioles here at Camden Yards. Win, really pitched well. I mean, it all started off with a, somewhat questionable call, but made some great pitches. Choice down on strikes. Had another fastball into CHOO. I mean, got pretty much everybody tonight. Really made some good pitches. Orioles certainly get in the early lead. And that's something unusual. Came in with 2.45 runs a game in support tonight. He pitches great. They play well behind him. And your Jiffy Lube pitching change. This pitching change should be quick, just like a Jiffy Lube signature service oil change. At Jiffy Lube, they get you in and out fast, and you never, ever need an appointment. Ramon Ramirez, he comes on, and we get some notes here. He pitched with Colorado, Kansas City, Boston, San Francisco, and the New York Mets.
He began the year with the Seattle Mariners in the Tacoma organization, and then came over to the Orioles.
How'd he do?
He did great with Norfolk, not so well with Seattle, which is why they let him go.
That's why he's at Norfolk.
Chris Davis now at first base.
Yeah, it took him a while to find the glove. So
Ryan Flaherty comes in at third. So Pierce is out of the game.
Yeah, they haven't let him rest up for tomorrow after hitting 2 home runs. So 6-run lead, you need 3 outs.
He was released by Seattle April 29th, and the Orioles signed him May 31st, and he reported to AAA, got in 5 games and did not allow a run. And there is Mr. Pierce on the bench. Take the rest of the night off, Slugger.
There we go. And Nick Hundley, a little back rub, just in case you're a little sore from swinging so hard. You don't swing hard when you make contact and they go that far.
Nick Hundley is a really good guy. He's really blending in very nicely on this team.
Well, he's also getting more acclimated, and I was very honest the other night. He had a couple big hits, and he said, I might have had the worst first 20 at bats that I've ever had when he came over here. very apologetic. So done a nice job learning not only this staff but learning the American League after coming over from the Padres.
Ramirez did not walk a batter while at AAA. He had 14 Ks and 0 walks in 8 innings.
Nice little changeup. Little two-seamer, little changeup right off it. At the knees, or a little bit below. And of course, with PENA, one of the more predominant, even though he had hurt the Orioles over the years with home runs the other way, on the ground, he's a pull hitter, so they have a shift on.
Bounces in there, 2-2 on PENA. He had been playing at AAA Round Rock for the Rangers before being called up. He was in spring training with the Angels. And he strikes out, then was released before opening day and signed on with Texas.
Yeah, it looks like a little splitter. I mean, it acts like that. I don't know if it's a changeup or a split finger fastball, but it goes straight down with good velocity. Maybe just a straight change. A very simple windup. Break your hands over your knees. Nice balance. Maybe comes a little bit left because, again, he's a two-seamer. So opens up and a little left to right movement on the fastball.
Ball one taken by Adrian Beltre.
How good a player is this guy?
He's good.
Yeah, I mean,
you were talking earlier about the Cubs and the Red Sox at Fenway, and former Oriole Jake Arrieta pitching for the Cubbies. He got to 2 outs in the 8th inning before his no-hitter was broken up. Stephen Drew got a base hit, a single.
and Drew hasn't been getting a lot of hits.
10 strikeouts for Arrieta.
Well, he's been pitching great. If he wins, and what, it was 2-0 ball game. So they're into the 9th, and the pitch count was high, I believe around 120 or something like that.
2-0 Cubs.
You see, that's another thing about pitching no hitters. You have to be very efficient in the modern era. How many young pitchers can pitch 9 innings without exceeding their pitch limit, whether you're giving up hits or not? It's hard to do. I mean, Lincecum threw, I think, under 120. 35% breaking balls in that no-hitter last week. I mean, excuse me, 35% fastballs, the rest breaking balls.
Here's Alex Rios. Some of the patience of Beltran. He works a walk. And there's a strike to Rios. Rios 0 for 3, came into the game at 304, tied for 9th best in that batting average in the American League. Foul down the third base line past Gary Pettis. 0-2. Ramirez, 32 years old. He is a veteran. 423 games of major league experience coming into tonight. Strike 3 call.
Wow, looking for a breaking ball. That's the only way. You know, normally you hit off the fastball and hope that you can get one up in his own, but he just freezes it. I mean, that's pretty much right down the middle. I mean, he's got good movement. It's at the knees, runs a little bit.
So 2 Ks with the walk.
Well, you're still looking for outs, and you need one more.
Leonis Martin is 0 for 2. He has drawn a walk, and he has scored the Texas run. And Ramirez gets ahead of him 0-1. Up and away. Ubaldo is 1 out away from his first win since May the 8th. and he's going to get it. Davis at first. Flips to Ramirez, and the Orioles grab the opener against Texas. Well-played game all around. They had all the components there. Outstanding starting pitching, tremendous defense, and clutch hitting, in particular with the 4 home runs. So our final score at Camden Yards in the open of this 4-game series, the Orioles 7 and the Texas Rangers 1.